Welcome everybody to our latest session of Scarlet Citadel. So the group left off very victorious, having defeated an opponent who was pretty tricky. So as usual, we'll do a quick recap and jump into our session. So group, you'll likely recall that when we picked up last week, you guys had defeated this ginormous ooze that had sort of ruptured out, and as we actually picked up last week, you had passed by that room a little bit. Mainly this was Elliot, who was in another room, found some supplies on the ground and started sort of moving them, getting them in a pile, when this other ooze, much smaller and crimson or amber in color, seemed to jump out towards Elliot, and then we found ourselves in an encounter type situation. The ooze turned out to be incredibly fast, much to the surprise of most of the team. Overall, the creature lashed out, was able to do some damage to Elliot before he made his way out of the door. You guys ended up closing the door, and it did not seem as though the ooze followed. So with the door closed, you guys watched it for a little bit. Didn't seem like there was any obvious threats. You then spent some time searching the large room where the very large size ooze had been and taking as much supplies out of there as possible. Once that was complete, you guys decided to exit and make your way back to the village of Red Tower. You went back there, got some things appraised by Ambrosi, and did some other sort of downtime kind of stuff in the city, rest and recuperate, all that fun stuff. Found out that some of these items that you had got and had identified, which I believe was Renata the Identify tree, spent some time there to learn what each of these things were. Turned out that some of them were actually fairly worth quite a bit of money. So after speaking with Ambrosi, he mentioned some of these potions could be sold for in the thousands of gold. And after several negotiations, he indicated that he would try to find a buyer for some of these. You guys left at least one, if not two, potions with him to find a buyer. And he also asked, would selling these to the money man, who you are all indebted to for about 14,000 gold, would that be suitable? And Renata said yes, because Ambrosi mentioned that, obviously being the money man, he's got quite a few funds, so he might be interested in purchasing those things. So with that resolved, you guys also did a little bit of shopping, looked into getting some silver items, as you had previously had some of your silvered weapons destroyed by this woman who was throwing these potions on the ground that would explode to really nasty effects. With that complete, you guys again had a little bit of stuff in the village of Red Tower that you accomplished, but eventually made your way back to the Scarlet Citadel, made your way back to the second floor, went back into that same room where the ooze was, and Grask sort of charged in bravely as Hugo was calling, hey, should we use that potion of ooze friendship to just kind of like figure it out? And Grask was looking at all those dollar signs in his eyes and just sort of rushed past. The ooze was up on the ceiling, essentially waiting for somebody to come back around, and it dropped down upon Grask. Grask was able to avoid that attack, but that got us into another battle, and Grask noticed that as he was slashing at it with his axe, it was resistant to slashing, and in addition to that, every time he hit it, it sort of had a splashback effect, where it would push some of its oozy body back onto its attacker, wounding them, and potentially having some other kind of lingering effects, which Grask wasn't quite sure if something hit him. He knows he got hit, but he doesn't know if there's some kind of lingering effect on him or not. Just for add to the ominous nature, I went ahead and added a skull and crossbones indicator to his token, which might or might not mean something. But yeah, so after that was accomplished, the group then made their way to the south and to the west, where there was a door. Opened that door and found themselves face to face with some of these winged, oozy, flying creatures. And then we found ourselves in another encounter. The woman who throws the potions and they explode was also here. This battle was sort of a challenging one because she could throw her explosions as all the little creatures kind of dashed around, trying to get in you guys' faces, distract you. Some of them had used breath weapons of various elemental compositions against the group. Eventually you guys took the woman down and assumed that was the end of her, but her little minion friend, who looked very strange and not like anything else in this area, actually went up to her body, pulled out a potion, dumped it down her throat, which brought her back to consciousness. The group then continued fighting her, and somehow Mei, without even being able to see, as her eyes were covered in one of these alchemical concoctions, was still able to strike her twice, drop her to the ground again, and then after you guys cleaned up the rest of the enemies, the question to the group was essentially, this downed woman seemed to be on the verge of death, but not quite dead yet. And so the group had one of these decisions to make and ultimately decided to kill her, thinking that she was too crazy perhaps, or wouldn't be of any use to the group if they tried to take her prisoner. So it was a 3-2 vote with, I believe it was Mei and Renaud, who were pro-prisoner or pro-taker captive, and the rest of the team deciding, nope, she's too dangerous, and taking her out. So group, that is where we left off, the woman being slain, and you guys still in this room here. Is there anything I miss here that anybody would like to add?
We found that treasure in that room with the gelatinous cube that we just kind of sat back and pounded with some spells since it couldn't get out the door.
Yes, yep, of course. Go ahead and take inspiration. How could I forget that encounter? Probably because it was so not much of an encounter. But yes, there was a secret door in the room with the orange-ish ooze. And when you guys opened that, one of you actually walked into this gelatinous cube because it was not moving still, made it very difficult to see. Stepping inside of it, or almost inside of it, as Hugo telekinetically pulled Elliot backwards, the group was able to essentially defeat this ooze because it couldn't get out of the room. It was kind of strange why it was here, but yeah, after the group destroyed it and it kind of sizzled down into the ground, there was still this kind of composition around, still kind of making it difficult to traverse this area. But being careful, the group was able to do so and found all of those potions and vials and things that they had previously found in the other room that were no longer there when they came back. So yep, good addition there. Anything else anybody like to add?
It's minor, but that first room where the slime fell on us that we fought also had a bunch of food stocks that we planned to take.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, that'll count. Go ahead and take inspiration for that as well. Yes, barrels and crates in this room, both preserved foods, some water, and some wine, if I remember correctly. So yeah, it seems like a supply area in this location. Great. Any other additions?
Similar, where it might not really matter, but Hugo did see a group of soldiers traveling through the countryside, actually, in the very beginning. Not really much more information than that, but a group of soldiers was traveling to the northwest.
And there's a very key part of that. Do you remember who the soldiers were aligned to?
Ooh. Let me check my notes real quick, see if I can put that down.
No worries, I can just certainly tell you. But yes, that is worth inspiration, because yes, that was an important piece of information that you found. So Hugo wasn't with the group at the beginning of the session, as he had been making his way back to the village. However, he spotted this large group of armed soldiers, so decided to turn around, not wanting to risk it. He had seen some tabards, some fluttering cloaks kind of thing. Didn't really think too much of it, trying to be safe, but once he got back to the team and started discussing with them, realized that they were wearing the Rosonian colors, which marks them as soldiers in liege to the ruler here of Rosone, so the Baroness, and it seemed as though these were soldiers in the army that were moving to the northwest. Why exactly? Hard to say. All right, group, if nothing else, then we will jump back over to where we left off, back into the same room.
Adam, remind me, did the lady, when she was gas formed, did she come back to her regular self when she perished?
She did, yeah. So that was part of, she took another potion while she was trying to get away, turned into a gaseous cloud, went under the crate. Eventually you guys sort of pulled that crate backwards, saw the cloud, struck it, and that knocked her out of that form. And then she was on the ground once again before you guys ultimately slayed her.
Got it.
Can we do just a quick check of anything on her? Is she, carrying any more potions or anything like that?
You certainly can. Yeah, let's take a look.
You want a blind check or anything?
No, because this, unless it's something hidden, I'll let you know in just a moment if we'll need one, but I don't think we're going to need one. Okay, so based on you guys engaging her in a fight and the potions that she had on her that she already used, there is a chance that she may still have something on her. So Yeah, roll me a D100, please, Elliot.
That's good.
You notice that there is a vial at her side, but it has been smashed during the combat, and it seems that whatever liquid is inside has spilled out into her pouch.
That's bad.
You might want to lick it up.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Hugo.
Give it a lick, Grask.
No.
Does she have any coinage or any weapons or anything, Adam, other than vials on her person?
You do indeed find a dagger at her side. It is in a somewhat, I will say it's in kind of like a strange skinned sheath. So not a typical sort of leather sheath that you would put a dagger in. This looks to be more like black, maybe like a snake skin kind of look.
Cool. I'll strap it onto my belt. And then,
Careful with that blade. It looks like the type that might be putting poison on stuff.
I guess that's true. I don't plan on stabbing myself or any of you with it.
Why don't we take a look around? I think it seems like this is relatively safe here. Perhaps we take a little rest as we see what else we can find.
Before we do that, I'm gonna use my second wind ability.
Sure, yeah, you can do that. And I don't think you guys quite got the description of this room yet, because right when the door was open, we found ourselves in an encounter. So I'll give you that real quick. An immense construction dominates the center of this vaulted room. It combines features of a foundry, an alchemy laboratory, a grist mill, and a dozen other arcane instruments you can't begin to identify. Its center glows with intense heat, but the rest of the room isn't much warmer than normal. The outer surface is studded with gauges, dials, spigots, knife switches, and levers.
Whoa.
Can you point out where the, are we in the alchemy library now? Laboratory, sorry.
Yeah, so this whole room, what that description is letting you know is this entire room combines these functions. So the obvious center area here is the, where it mentions like the intense heat. That's what it's referring to. But yeah, the whole thing, it's saying it sort of serves those functions.
I don't know if while we're hanging out trying to catch our breath, maybe we want to shut this door here. But Elliot would try to pop a couple of these barrels open, see if he can find the bung hole on the barrels and figure out what they are.
Sure, yeah, go ahead and give me a blind check.
Feels weird saying bung hole, but being correct while using it.
I was waiting to see if anybody else was going to comment it, because I know what it meant. But yeah, so you are able to find the bunghole, and you're able to determine that inside of these barrels is more water.
Just more water over here. What about those, Grask? Food, maybe?
Do I have to also find the bunghole?
How are you? Are you just kind of like tapping on them, or what are you trying to do?
If he can smell it from the outside, I'll just try and sniff it out.
Yeah, I would say you probably get a slight scent of ale.
Some kind of ale.
So it's basically like all these machines are sort of put together to do like one function.
So I would say there's not multiple. So this obviously there's this big a large object here, which is dominating the center of the room. That's where that intense heat's coming from. So when it says it combines features of a foundry, I would say that certainly would be here. Alchemy laboratory, you've got like a still down here. You've got a table, maybe perhaps with some notes, those types of things. But this is obviously the thing that is so strange to you all and has all this strange information on it. Levers, spigots, all those kind of things. And, you know, looking at it's so hard to understand what it might be.
Yeah, and that was sort of what I mean, obviously he probably won't know, but if Hugo can sort of try to figure out what she might be using this for.
Sure, give me a blind check, Hugo. So you start looking at this large object and you realize it is incredibly complicated. There's so many different pieces to this. It's hard to say, but there is a particular piece that you recognize, which is the dimensional extract assembly. You can see that is built on the side here where you're at.
Dimensional extract assembly here.
Ah, yes, of course. What
What?
does that mean?
Hugo, you just said you're making that up, right? That's not a real thing.
I don't know. Do I know what that even would be for?
You've got some vague notions of what this might be. It sort of has to do with space, extracting space and time from a chemical process.
This is some very highbrow stuff. Space and time. Might have something to do with that those lasers, those lightning bolts that de-aged Harmony, but they're messing with time and space here. This is very complicated.
And oozes, apparently.
Do you think that this could be utilized to re-age Harmony?
I wouldn't have the foggiest idea how to even start that process, but maybe if we hadn't killed her, perhaps she would be able to tell us, but possibly, I don't know.
I mean, they write everything in those cryptic languages in those books, remember? So maybe what they're trying to do here is something either drives you mad or maybe, I don't know.
Makes you able to move through time and space, possibly. Travel through time.
That could definitely make you go mad. Hey, Adam, can I give a search? Is this a desk here in front of me?
It is, yes.
Any ink bottles on top?
You do notice an ink well with a quill in it, but you don't notice any of those, what I will say, distinctive looking ones like you spotted before.
Okay, cool. I'll give it a good once over.
Okay, sure, blind check. You notice hidden in the most obvious place, opening the drawer underneath the desk, there is a handful of notes here, and as you just glance at them, you realize they are filled with strange, incomprehensible coded shorthand.
Yeah, see? Here's more of that jibble jabble.
I was hoping that was the key to the code.
Well,
I'll take them. I'll put them in my bag anyways. Maybe somebody can figure them out or something.
Well, we are selling the rest of them, so maybe this could add to the value.
included in the set.
Adam, this thing that Hugo's at over here, is this part of that main machinery idea, or is this something separate?
It looks separate. You're guessing it's some kind of like a distillery here, as there's this large component with tubing that connects the large component to like a barrel, where you would assume there's sort of a drip off into that. I mean, unless there's piping that goes under the ground, you don't see any way that it could be connected.
And what does it look like it's distilling? Am I able to tell that?
It's got a kind of an odd odor to it. It kind of reminds you a little bit maybe of like a fermentation process for alcohol.
They're making something over here. Hooch, probably.
A while ago, you're talking about extra-dimensional objects, and then down there they're making prison hooch.
I mean, it's probably a few steps above prison hooch, but yeah, maybe they were doing multiple things down here. I don't know. Or maybe it's related.
The alcohol might be to clean apparatus afterwards.
Oh, perhaps. Or maybe you just have to be totally sloshed and able to survive time travel.
Maybe that's why all the notes really suck.
You notice Sebastian steps up and looks and says, This is so strange. I can't understand what is this large object is used for. Seems perhaps she must do what it does, but look at all these things. It's like a million different pieces that you can turn or spin. It's very strange.
Yeah, she's a real scientist over here.
Yeah.
Is there not that I'm going to do it, but as Sebastian says that and Renaud's looking at it, is there any obvious button on here that like has a potion decant, symbol by it or something to that effect?
Give me a blind check, Renaud, as you look.
This probably shouldn't be Renaud doing this check, but that's okay.
You notice a piece on this device that also looks very strange, and as you're kind of piecing it together, trying to eye it and looking at all these different pieces, there's so much here, you feel like it would take you a long time to figure all this out, but this one particular device looks to be some kind of temporal impulse compressor.
Renaud looks back at the rest of the group.
Push it, push it, push it.
Hold on, don't push anything. Speaking of which, is anyone writing this? Should I write this down? What was the name of that one again?
The one that Renaud just saw?
Yeah.
The temporal impulse compressor.
Oh yeah, what was the other one? The dimensional extractor?
Dimensional extract assembly.
What do you think, Hugo? Should we chance it? Usually bad things happen when we chance it.
Yeah, let's.
Definitely not chance this. This is far beyond us, and who knows? We have no idea what it could do.
Let's
Far
just,
beyond you, maybe.
let's just relax for a little bit.
Renaud's gonna
Maybe
mark
move on.
where this button is, and he'll nod and say, maybe when we have a little rest.
All right, so other than that, the time that you guys have spent here in this room, remind me, is anybody in the group in any way knowledgeable about alchemical components, have like maybe proficiency in alchemy supplies, anything along those lines?
Corin
Nothing
was.
for Elliot.
I'm checking. Does shields count?
So what I will say is you don't recognize specific things, but there is so much stuff around this room that you're like, maybe this stuff's valuable. It's hard to say because there's, bottles and vials and pouches and just all these different really exotic things that who knows what they are or what, maybe they might be worth something. Hard to say.
We're going to take some of those barrels of food and water back, so we could dump one of them out of the water, and fill it full of, this crap and roll it out of here.
You think that would be fairly challenging because a lot of this is in the form of like glass bottles and vials and that kind of stuff. You would want to pack this carefully, otherwise you would risk destroying it.
There are those cases that we found that look like, that you carry milk bottles in that had potions in it before. We could grab a few of those.
I think that's a good idea.
Anything that's worth money, we need to pay off that man.
I vote we take a rest. Make sure the doors are safe and lie down for a bit.
Leave it to me to join up with a group that's severely in debt.
This is our plight, I'm afraid.
Okay, so it sounds like the group would like to get a short rest here, just kind of relaxing in the room and keeping your eyes open.
Yeah, Hugo's gonna specifically keep an eye for down this little hole in the wall passageway. Make sure nothing comes in that way.
May's gonna meditate.
Okay.
It's little the potion masters. I don't know what to call them. They're little familiar creature. Did it poof when it died, or is its body somewhere?
It poofed.
Okay.
Hugo, you can't see much down that way based on your vision. You do notice what looks like a bookcase, and you can see a bit beyond that. The bookcase isn't particularly large. It's kind of more short to the ground type of thing, but it looks very fancy and kind of lacquered. But you're keeping your eyes peeled that way, seeing if you notice any movement. You do not during this time. Is there anything anybody else is doing during this short rest?
Yeah, Elliot's keeping his eyes down this north side hallway up here.
Okay, and during that period of time, also quiet. All right, hearing nothing else, I'll go ahead and play a short rest to the group as you guys relax here for about an hour and are able to recover your short rest stuff or spend hit dice if you like.
Hey Adam, Hungry Jaws, on my sheet it says I should only get it back on long rest. I don't know why it gave that back for me.
It's probably designed wrong on the sheet, I would guess.
I'm looking at it and I have the option rest on long rest. I had to make it myself.
Yeah, I thought that only applied to the built-in Roll20 rest, but maybe the script picks it up now too.
Jeez. Mega freaking hit dice, dude. 9, 10, 11, 13.
I'm ready.
Why don't we, I don't know, do you want to go and keep looking, or shall we take all of these things back before something new terrible happens to us?
Sorry to interrupt that train of thought, but I just realized, I can't believe I forgot this, that 2 of our characters actually have the ability to detect poisons and diseases. So I know you guys have mentioned it a couple times. I always try to keep that up on my other screen. But I would say both Hugo and Elliot, you realize that Elliot and Grask both currently have a disease. And based on your bloodline ability, this replicates the detect poison and disease ability. So it says that you can identify the disease. So I'm assuming that means you know the effects of the disease. So let me give you the actual name of this so you get a bit of understanding of what this is. It's not good, obviously, but...
I thought I had made my save, though. That's why you had taken the icon off me.
No, I took the icon off to trick you because I didn't want you to know if you still had it on you or not.
Success.
So this is called Seeping Death Disease. So what this means is at the end of each long rest, you're gonna have to make a Constitution saving throw, or your Dexterity score is reduced by 1d4. Reduction lasts until you finish a long rest after the disease is cured. If the disease reduces you to 0 dex, you die and your body becomes one of these oozes 1d4 hours later. The disease lasts until removed by the Lesser Restoration spell or similar magic.
So you need a con save?
Nope, you only make con saves at the end of each long rest.
Okay.
We could probably visit that girl at that temple, pay for it.
Yeah, I don't, I'm afraid I cannot help with any of these diseases. I'm sorry.
You guys stink of disease. Got the seeping death.
Yeah, well, you just stink, Hugo.
No need to be rude.
I'm just kidding, you don't stink. But I think we'll be alright, Grask. I mean...
Hugo looks hurt and just sniffs himself.
doesn't stop me from fighting.
Anybody want to go down this tunnel?
It's
Well,
down
what'd you
there.
see? Yeah, what that just turns to the left. What'd you see down the other way, Hugo?
There's a bookcase down the other one. Looks like a fancy bookcase. Can't see the rest of the room, but it doesn't seem like that big of a room.
Well, yeah, we look like we have a fairly good shape. Maybe we could just do a little more exploring before we head back.
And so, for a quick point of clarification, this sort of random stuff in this room, you guys are leaving here for now, right?
For
The
now.
glassware and stuff, right? Yeah, I think so. But we have
It
a
sounded
battle
fragile,
transport.
right? So I think the plan is check the next room, and then come
I don't want to
back
break
this
it.
stuff.
Yeah.
Adam, is there just more of that stuff in these boxes here, or is there something else in them?
This looks to contain similar supplies of a dried nature and more water.
All right. May, are you coming this way?
Where did we go? I thought we were going this way.
Yeah, we're going to see the books.
Do hedgehogs wander? Is that their thing? Anybody know? Oh, there she is. Okay,
Like
look, real quick.
tunnels.
Before we go in there, I think last time we saw bookcases, there was that giant pit, and we lost somebody, so I think we should be careful.
That's a good point.
Be careful.
Yeah, avoid going close to the edge. You don't need to look over. We know what's down there. Sure death. And I still haven't been able to poop right since that last time you guys yanked me up by the rope.
That might take a while.
Yeah, well. Sheesh, that's a lot of books. Are they full, Adam, like the bookcases?
As you look at them, you notice most of them are empty. There are a few scraps here, maybe an odd tome here or there, but for the most part, empty.
Anything, if I go kind of up and then around, anything with like a distinctly fancy kind of cover, anything that looks, above average in price?
Give me a blind check as you spend a little bit of time investigating this area. Nothing that sticks out to you. It looks mostly worn with age and time.
Oh, yep, there's a big hole, all right.
Those mechanical people that we saw before, they are over there. They just
Oh,
went-
we're on the other side. Look, if you look over there.
That's where the robots were.
Here they come.
As you're watching them, Renaud, you notice them moving quickly as they move about, flailing their arms about, kind of grabbing tomes here and there, moving different pieces of paper, seemingly getting stacks in their arms.
Since Renaud's kind of out in the open right now, I think he's just going to say, hello? Do you communicate?
They don't respond to you. You get no signal from them that they even know that you're there. However, as you sort of glance around this room, you do notice torn books and crumpled scrolls scattered across desks, and otherwise empty shelves indicate this was once part of a great library. If the shelves were filled, it might have been the greatest library outside of the imperial city of Enweir. Whatever secret it once held is now little more than a ruin. In the southern portion of the room, the central area of the floor is oddly free of dust, and the flagstones that are marred by deep scratches and a symmetrical pattern.
Whereabouts would that be?
If you notice this kind of strange etching here.
Over there. Okay. Can I search these desks or what remains of them?
You can. Blind check, please. Yeah, you definitely notice some odd pieces of paper, but most of it is so old that as you're kind of just shifting it with your hands here, Mei, it actually crumbles underneath your fingertips.
I just want to keep an eye on the mechanical beings at them, and I know they're grabbing and collecting notes, but if they start doing anything outside of that, I want to keep my eyes peeled.
Can Hugo check, pretty much do an investigation of the bookshelves and try to find any that may be pertaining to time magic?
Sure. As you begin that process here, Hugo, you start looking and wondering what might be here, anything along the lines of sort of time magic. All of you suddenly hear this strange sound. It almost sounds like static in the air, and then a thumping sound occurs as in front of you things shift.
Whoa.
Standing at the center of the room is a glowing golden blue machine unlike anything you've ever seen. Copper and brass cogs, wheels, levers, springs, and spinning governors click, clatter, and ratchet back and forth like a gigantic timepiece. Pulsing blue orbs of polished crystal shine with unearthly light, float silently or roll effortlessly across the metal surfaces in gravity-defying ways. Cold mist pours off the device, portions of which are caked in frost. Standing near it are two metal frame humanoid constructs similarly coated with frost. So you see them sort of just suddenly appear there. Each of them carries an armful of books, scrolls, and loose sheets of parchment.
Do the other robot librarians react?
They do not. It looks like they're still doing exactly what they were doing previously. You notice the two new ones as they sort of pop in here. You can see this rind with frost on their body. They just start moving to the north.
Hello. All right. That was unexpected.
Should I touch it?
Touch it.
The visual you gave, this thing's. Oh, here we go. Let me read this real quick.
I know. I always have to read it after I hear it because otherwise it doesn't connect for me.
I agree. I'm a reader.
I don't think you should touch it. It looks cold.
I bet we could get a pretty penny for that thing.
Yeah, maybe. Do you think
Go get it, Grask.
rebuilding the library?
Maybe.
They popped out. They had stuff in their hands, right? Yeah, each of them has. Ignoring the crazy machine for a minute, Renaud's gonna go over here and try and see if he can catch up with those particular ones that came back.
Can Elliot study the pulses? Do they seem to be on any kind of pattern?
Blind check. No, they don't seem to occur on any kind of cadence. It seems fairly random. Maybe once every few seconds and then more rapidly, a couple times a second. It seems to fluctuate.
Any runes or iconography or anything on it?
Yes, there's quite a bit of different stuff going on here. It's hard to make anything specific out as you're just kind of, I would imagine, almost like in awe as you're looking at this thing. You obviously no idea what this is. It just appeared out of nowhere. Nothing about it seems kind of standard.
Adam, are the robots putting things back, or are they taking things out?
You notice by the time you've gotten over here, Renaud, their hands are empty, and looking around like at the bookshelves, you can see it looks like some stuff probably was recently added based on like where it's been placed, and maybe notice a tome here or there has this sort of sheen of frost upon it, and then it looks like they're collecting other things and pulling stuff together.
Does it look like there's actually books over here on this section then? Or is it just kind of like loose, small stuff?
Very
like
loose, small stuff scattered, sort of like remnants.
One last thing. Renaud is just going to go over to the nearest, I guess, frost-covered book and just, without even touching it while the robots are around, he's just going to try and see if he can read what the title of it is or what it looks like or anything on it.
You notice that it's clearly written in the Elvish script. Do you happen to speak Elvish?
I do.
You notice that this is an ancient dialect of Elvish, in fact. So as you start, like, sort of pushing through it and trying to read this, the Sheelan language, it is very archaic, and even you as a modern speaker, as you're kind of reading through it, you're having a hard time. You have to read over it multiple times and kind of in your head convert this sort of ancient wording to more modern wording so that you can understand it. You get the impression that this is some kind of a historical journal detailing a person's escapades through a particular political event, is what you're gathering so far, what you've seen.
I see. All right. He'll nod and kind of leave it alone for the moment and just go and see what everyone else is doing.
Hey, Hugo. You got any way to see if that thing's magical? Got any spells?
Unfortunately, I do not. I mean, I think it's pretty clearly magical.
Well, yeah, but there's a difference between conjuration and evocation, for example. You know what I mean?
Well, here's my theory. No, it's just a theory. This is some sort of time travel device or time and space. They're repopulating their library with original texts from those times or something like that.
All that does is makes me really want to touch it, Hugo.
If you want to be sucked 2,000 years ago, be my guest.
I think we should hop a ride the next time the robot librarians take a trip.
Man, you are really down for anything, aren't you, May?
I don't know. You guys seem awfully cautious.
I enjoy living.
Guess seeing lots of death will do that to you.
Adam, does it look like that they've been restocking for a while now? Can we gather that insight?
No. As you look around, most of these shelves are still empty. So no, you would assume that this has not been going on for very long.
Can Renaud listen at this door? See if he hears anything.
He can, yes, blind check. It's quiet through this thick door.
He's going to step back and cast Mage Hand, and he's going to say to Elliot, I think I'm going to open this door here and see what is behind it.
All right, well, let me get behind this wall here.
And is your Mage Hand silent, or does this have a verbal component?
It has a verbal.
All right, so you speak these magic words. Go ahead and post that. All right, so you speak these magic words. The magical hand appears, and you're trying to essentially open the door with the magic hand.
Yeah.
All right, you can feel free to try, but you recognize the door is locked.
It is locked.
Oh, I gotcha.
I know these doors broke Roll20 for a good solid 2 weeks, but they're kind of neat.
Oh, don't even get me started, man.
Renard, before I open this while we're surrounded by mechanized robots, do you mind maybe getting Grask and Hugo to come around the corner too?
I will get them. Grask, Hugo, where are you? Come
Keeping an
this
eye
way.
on this thing. Look at it, it's whirling.
Yes, we're going to break into a room. We would like some backup.
And as you're asking this, Renaud, you notice these two robotic creatures step up next to the device, and you hear a snapping sound as it begins rotating very quickly. Elliot, as you're sort of looking back at the rest of your companions, you can see all of your companions pulled in towards this device. However, from where you're standing, you don't feel any pull. Up to you what you wish to do. You can tell you're basically outside of the area of effect of this. Up to you, like I say, how you would like to proceed.
Can I see where the field of, like, where it's pulling kind of ends?
No, this is like a snap decision. Like, just as you see them getting pulled in, you can do something immediately if you wish, or you can observe and just see what happens. I mean, it's completely up to you.
Let me observe, because if something happens and they all die, I've got a healer's kit and I can help them at least.
Okay, so as you're watching, you notice as all this sort of turns around, as each of them gets pulled in closer to this area, and you see with just a splash of light and energy, all of them disappear.
Oh, shit.
What if I grabbed the bookshelf behind me?
Essentially, the pull of this is so strong that nothing's going to be able to save you from it. But with that having occurred, unfortunately, Elliot, you're kind of a spectator to these events. So, who would like to volunteer to roll a potentially important role?
Oh, shit.
Can we use inspiration on it?
No, because it's just a D8 roll. It's not one of those kind of rolls.
I'll do it.
Okay, let's see a D8.
Is high good or low good?
Yes. Okay, all right. Okay, guys, so as this device sort of flips around, moves around, once the queasiness of this this event occurs, you start looking around and realizing that you're in the Citadel still. As you look around, you can see you're in somewhat, like, some of the architecture of the building actually maybe looks similar to you or looks familiar to you in some way or another, but you can see that the upper layers are just gone. It's like everything above you, the first floor, the ruins that were out there, it's just been blasted away by some kind of titanic cataclysm. The area is completely open to the sky, which is wreathed in sheets of perpetual green flame. As you're kind of, blinking your eyes and realizing you're standing next to this large object that sits here, and the two robotic creatures are standing next to you, you spot this strange-looking creature, two of them, in fact, not too far from you. It has a vaguely sort of like crab or crustacean type of look to it, but it is quite large, about the size of a draft horse, perhaps. You notice they both kind of look in your direction, and suddenly, Mei, you feel a slight headache as you feel these words just sort of enter your mind as though they are forced inside. Surrender the devices and prepare for cranial cessation.
I'm being spoken to. They're saying something about surrendering a device or prepare for cranial something.
You notice the other one holds this long metal device that is super complex. It's so strange to you, and he actually lowers it, and you can see at the end of it, it almost looks like a monster's mouth, and it starts kind of like snapping, and you see electricity seemingly starting to generate from this end.
Eldritch Blast! Eldritch Blast!
Stand back.
So as you essentially get ready to cast this Eldritch Blast here, Renaud, noticing that there is something weird going on, you hear the device you're standing next to once again whirl up, snap, and I'll need another D8.
Not me.
There were no books there.
Did the robots stay with the?
They did. They looked like they did
device?
not even move, and they didn't react to these creatures at all.
Maybe that was a way station or something. Someplace it goes through every time.
Who's rolling this?
I think you are, babe, or I can do it.
I'm a bad roller.
Do I make it private?
You can roll it publicly. It doesn't really matter.
Oh no.
Okay. As the device comes to a snap still once again, and the area all around you phases, and you can see all these different shapes, and then they become clear all of a sudden, you realize you're in some kind of a natural cave. You can see a lot of this sort of ice is growing from the ceiling, creating these long tendrils that almost look like icy spears. As you're here and the device is in the center of the room, once again you notice the robotic creatures just kind of standing here very still. And you notice off a little bit in the distance here, you get this scent that wafts through your nose. It smells like roasting meat. And you notice 4 savage-looking dwarfs squat around a fire that have meat on sticks that they hold over the flames.
Nobody give them anything. Their technology can't be improved dramatically, or we're all in trouble.
Where are we?
Do they look like cavemen dwarfs?
They do look like primitive dwarves, yes.
Yeah, it's so easy, even a cave dwarf can do it.
And as you guys are talking with one another and speculating of what's going on here, you notice one of the dwarves raises his head as his hair is really long, covering his really dirty, grimy face. And as he looks up, he says, and grabs a spear and starts making his way towards you.
Oh, wait a second, friend. We are not your enemy. Hold on.
And Renat, as you say
understand
this,
you.
and Hugo, as you say this as well, once again you hear a snap pop as the machine spins up one more time, pulling you guys all to another location and another D8.
It's Noah. No, Noah already did it. I think it's Mei now.
What did you roll, Matt?
I got an 8.
Okay, this time, unfortunately, Elliot, I thought you were going to be here, so I'm going to remove your token. I'll let you at least stay as a bystander. I'm just going to put you on the side so we don't get... let me do this real quick.
Yeah, also we have Harmony and Penn in there, too.
So you can tell how long ago this was generated, huh? So, yeah, let me fix up
We're
the
just
tokens
careful.
there. But, yes, as you appear back, you notice, looking around, you can see that you're in the same location that you were not too long ago when you first stepped on this machine, or stepped near this machine, and it sort of drew you in. The robotic creatures stand here with you as well, but you notice to your east here that there is obviously a different sort of atmosphere about this location. The room is actually very hot, and you can feel it coming from your east. You can see some type of monstrous-looking statue that is just so large that it dominates the room to your east. And you can see there is a bunch of figures dressed in these kind of strange ceremonial-looking robes, and they have this figure who is on a table sort of bound there. All right, now that I got that description out of the way, let me go ahead and get our appropriate tokens on. So there's Mei E. And Sebastian, of course. Okay, so as this spinning ends, you find yourself standing here It seems, though, as odd as it sounds, the creatures to your east don't immediately react to you just popping into this location. Looking around briefly, you can tell pretty clearly that this is not the same as Hugo, I think, is already piecing together at the same time that you guys were at previously.
And the robots, they don't move to, like, there's no, like, books for them to collect that they move to go get, huh?
They don't. No, they seem to be incredibly still here.
This must be another one of those stop-off places. They have a certain place they must get the literature from.
So the library looks like it's in good repair.
No, and I would say it looks. You get more of a vibe of like a temple type of atmosphere here. It doesn't look like it's in the same state. The bookcases are still there, but they're sort of shorn of any kind of books or even debris. You can see that it's not in a great state. It looks, imagine like a temple that hasn't been maintained very well. That would probably be your initial thought as you're looking at this. But as this significant heat keeps coming from the east, you notice this orc who is bound and gagged lying on this table seems to be struggling, and you can see that this table is designed in a way that it can actually be lifted, and you notice that one of these figures is grabbing onto the table and starting to lift it, making this orc getting more and more vertical and looking like he's going to slide into the open mouth of this massive statue where you can feel this intense heat coming from.
Hey, what are you doing to him? What is this?
As you call out, you will notice they recognize you at this point, and that is when I will go ahead and lock the tokens and put us in initiative order.
Fix the machine. Get us out.
There's no way. I don't know how it's doing. What it's doing.
I wonder if this is the future or the past.
Hugo's head explodes.
Sorry to restart the sandbox there. Everything crashed momentarily. Let's give that a try again. Okay, so Mei, you are the quickest to react as this voice of Renaud calls out, and then you will notice these figures to your east turn sort of violently, now realizing that you are there. Most of them look to be dressed in these ceremonial kind of robe type attire, and as they spin and look at you, you recognize that they are humanoid, but you can see some what you assume to be burned scars into their face, almost like ritual scarring. The other figure who stands nearby with his hand on the sliding table has this strange golden mask on it. Is anybody in our group proficient in religion?
I think Renaud is. Hold on. Yes.
Okay, feel free to go ahead and give me a blind check here, Renaud. You're not quite sure. You know this is something to do with some kind of religion, but you're not quite sure what it is. Dylan, since Elliot unfortunately is not in this battle, would you like to work Sebastian?
Sure, yeah, I'll play Sebastian.
All right, don't forget to try your worst French accent to make it authentic.
You know me. I will try my best.
All right, excellent.
I'm horrible at French.
Mine's not much better, but it's fun giving it a try. So, all right, let me give you access to this. Okay, so he is under the NPC section, so you should be able to pull him up. Okay, there you are. All right, with that, ooh, did I miss Renaud? Let me double check.
No, he's in the group thing. Gresk's the same way. He's not in the list.
Oh,
Hugo,
you're talking
I
about
don't-
the rolls up there. Yeah. Wait a minute, where are you talking? I see you guys on both sides.
You see us in the turn order?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see
I don't see
myself
it.
in the tournament.
well, if you see it, Adam, I mean,
That's you know what probably
fast,
is
yeah.
because this was created a while back. I bet you it's like unlinked tokens and things. But yeah, I'll walk through the order with you guys. So right now it is Mei.
Hi guys. What year is it? And sorry to bother. Do any of them say anything?
You get the impression that they knew that you were there only after you guys sort of announced yourselves. So as you're looking, keeping in mind this is all happening in 6 seconds, they're like spinning around and putting hands to weapons. Yes, anything you had on you when you were stepping up to the machine would still be with you. So if you don't have a torch, but you should, feel free to add one.
Sorry to interrupt your ceremony. And May is not gonna leave the immediate vicinity of the time machine, so she's going to hold an action to throw darts if any of them come within 10 feet of her allies.
Okay, we can go with that. We'll see when that gets triggered. Okay, anything else on your turn, May?
Nope.
So give your end turn a try. Hopefully that'll work. Okay, perfect. And we are on to Sebastian, and hopefully, Dylan, you're able to see the sheet and control?
I can see my sheet, but I don't have vision, I believe, for Sebastian.
Oh, let me double check that. Oh, yes, you are right. Okay, how about now?
Yeah, we're good. Let's see. Sebastian has. Does he have a shield, Adam?
He does, yes.
Play armor and shield. So he'll just draw out his rapier, and he is going to take a dodge action and wait to see what his companions do.
Okay, fair enough. A dodge. All right, this guy here, you're going to notice he is going to move through his companions, stepping and sort of squeezing past this very large statue, and then he will move to here. The orc on the table is straining, pushing at the ropes, trying to do everything he can to try to get free, but does not seem to be very successful here, as he is just bound to this table very solidly. And next up is Hugo.
All right. Hugo also does not want to get far away from the machine. Can he try to... I guess he's not proficient in religion, so it'd be hard. I'm trying to figure out what kind of sacrifice this is.
Yeah, honestly, that's exactly what it would be. So what I would say is I gave the free check to anybody with proficiency in religion. If you're willing to spend your action kind of looking at this and seeing if you can draw any kind of conclusions, you can certainly do that.
You know what? No. Instead, Hugo's just going to cast Shatter.
Okay.
And try to hit... is that one of those tooltip?
Yes, it is on Smart AoE, yep.
Okay, so he's going to do it there. And try to hit these guys and try to break the statue as much as he can.
Okay.
I'll just trigger all.
Okay, so you notice two of them are burst back forward as they are struck by this solidly and slain instantly. The other two are wounded but not pushed back and still on their feet. The statue does suffer some damage here. As you notice at its edge, it kind of cracks and you hear this sort of groaning rock sound that echoes from that area.
Okay. And then as a bonus action, he'll telekinetically shove the one closest to him.
Sure, yeah, go ahead and throw a spell effect roll with that. Or I think we might already built that in for your attack with that one.
Yeah, I have a button here.
Okay, and that is
12.
against his strength. Unfortunately, no. He is able to resist getting pushed backward.
And he will just yell out, Stay back. We don't need any problems with you. Except I just killed your friend. But the rest of you are next if you come at me.
All right, this guy's turn next. Yes, he also appreciates ironies, but he's going to make his way around. He will get there and then take a dash as he rushes up. This guy here is going to flip the table fully flush, and you notice the orc just slips right down, right into the open mouth of this statue, and you just hear terrified screaming as the orc begins being burned alive. Grask.
Okay, I don't want them near me, so I'm going to use my bloodline power to cast.
That would trigger my reaction too. Sorry.
Oh yes, feel free to take your dart throw on whichever one you wish. That will connect. So as he's starting to get closer and you're watching for that, you throw. Luckily, you're able to throw past your companion, striking into this guy and wounding him.
Do I get extra attack on a held action?
Readied actions, no. Extra attack only applies on your turn. Okay, and, so I think, Grask, you said bloodline ability, is that what I heard?
I'm doing spike growth.
Okay, do we have that one?
I have cast fireball on my bar here. I'm guessing that there's a reason for it.
Yes, that's the same radius as spike growth, so feel free to do that one, and we'll send it to back just so we have the area of effect appropriately flagged.
Okay, it asked me for a spell level, and I didn't have any, so I don't know how well it's going to work. Also, this isn't my Grask, so...
Let's find out.
Did it work? No, I did it.
Oh, no, I don't see anything here. Let me see if I can just throw it on there. That's not working either. Let me try this. I know there's some issues with the scripts tonight because I got that heads up from somebody, but all right, let's see. Yep, there we go. So are you able to control that?
I can. Yeah, that seems... Oh, I moved it by accident. This seems fine to me.
All right, I'm going to send that to the map layer so it gets rid of our targeting, but we know the area of effect of the spikes. Okay, so that is created, and anything else?
Stay near the device.
That'll be me.
All right, next up is this guy. He stands still and resolute as we move to Renaud.
Orc is fully engulfed into this thing now.
He is inside. I would say you really can't even see him any longer as he is inside the statue, but you can still hear him screaming out as he's being burned.
Oh boy, I don't really have anything good that's going to get him out of there, so let's just kill these guys. Eldritch Blast to the one that's currently in front of Grask. If this hits, I'm going to knock him back.
That will certainly hit. Okay, that was the one just in front of you?
Yeah, right here.
Okay, as he is hit by your Eldritch Blast and starts getting pushed back, you realize he is already dead before he hits the ground.
Okay, next. The next closest one. For my second. 13 hit.
A 13 will hit, yes. And that is the next closest one, you said?
Yeah, this guy right here.
Very similarly, he just gets hit by this ray, shoved backwards, but doesn't even move when he collapses to the ground.
Gosh, I was going to knock them all back so they got the spike growth damage too, but they're just too weak. I think that'll be Renaud's turn.
Okay, this guy here does not like the idea of the spike growth, can quickly see this is becoming not too good of a battle. He is going to get out of dodge. This guy is going to remain here. the fire of the statues suddenly sizzles outwards, and you notice some flame stretches out, eating into the creature. This guy here, I think he sees what's going on, but not much he can do. As he starts charging, based on just dice rolls, he is not going to survive. So that takes us to the top of the next round, at which point in time you hear the snap of the device near you once again as it whizzes around, and I will need another D8.
I gotcha.
This time, as the object spins around and you find yourself in another new location, you see all around you is a sort of high, you would almost imagine some high level of sophistication perhaps. As you can see that there is this very large chambers that resembles only in the most slight way of the Citadel room that you had previously left. It seems this area has undergone quite a significant change. As you notice that looking around, you see where you would expect that hole to be in the ground that you've spotted in the previous location. It looks as though that has been completely sealed over. You notice your two robotic friends here aren't the only two robotic creatures in the room, as you notice 6 more that look to be attired in soldier type gear. They actually have blades on their arms that, their arms actually end in blades, and you can see little cogs and gears spinning around as their bodies kind of turn to look towards you. You notice 4 more of them that seem to be dressed more up in what you would consider almost like clothes for court, perhaps. They don't have clothes per se, but the way their bodies are designed is reminiscent of maybe a courtier appearance, something along those lines. You notice they all kind of turn looking towards you, and you notice at the end of the room there is actually a throne, and sitting on top of that is yet another robotic creature that has a crown fashion helmet on his head.
What is this?
What country are we in now?
No country for old men. Hello? Who are you? What is going on here?
And you notice one of the courtier type creatures turns and looks towards you, and then looks towards the other robot creatures nearby you, and you hear this sound comes out of it that sounds sort of like static or munching on metallic pieces, perhaps, as its mouth doesn't really open, but think of it more or less like a voice box emanating noise. And you see the robots nearby you seem to respond in some kind of fashion. There seems to be some kind of communication, but none of you know what it is.
He takes a knee.
You get this impression, Mei, that this king or leader, whoever he is in this throne, is not even looking towards you. He seems to only look towards the 2 robots that are with you, these mechanical men with you. All of the mechanical beings in this room are like just pretty much completely ignoring you all.
And the ones with our machine, they're staying put, or are they moving around?
They stay put, but it does look like they're speaking in this strange language back and forth.
Do the ones near our machines, how closely do they resemble the others?
Give me a blind check here, Grask. I would say they are somewhat similar, but you recognize the ones in this room are perhaps a little bit different, more refined. Like the way the design of the metal is, you would think it's more elegant. There's less harsh curves and hooks and nooks and crannies on their body construction. They certainly seem to be more streamlined, I'd say.
Now we're in the future.
Where is that?
I do not know, but we cannot understand you, so can you speak some common language, perhaps?
Once again, it seems as though they ignore you, and you see this communication goes back and forth between the robotic creatures on both sides, and then you notice all the robotic creatures in the throne room here turn and look towards the king as he sits there, and you notice once again that snap, click, pop as the machine pulls you back in, and another D8.
Who's yet to roll?
I
Elliot.
think Elliot. Dylan.
Sebastian.
All right, this time it seems like everything's running super slow tonight, so hopefully you guys are you guys just seeing a white screen at the moment?
No, I saw.
No.
It was dark. I had to light a torch.
Okay, so yeah, everything's just taking a long time to load in for me for some reason, but just locking the tokens here momentarily so I can give you a brief description of what you're seeing here before anything occurs. But yes, as the machine snaps once again and you find yourself in this very strange looking area, you realize all amongst your feet, what you're literally standing on is bones.
Uh-oh. That's never a good sign.
This is bad.
It's all bones.
Are these crypts around us?
If they are absolutely enormous in size, because you can see that they would be, if they're sort of like coffins or tombs, they would be sized perhaps for giants.
Awesome.
This is our new home. I hope everyone is happy.
I'm not happy. Fix the machine.
I was kidding. I have no idea how to fix this thing. Hugo?
No. I think we're along for the ride. Eventually it'll take us back. We don't have to go through the cold place, though. Remember that. Everyone bundle up.
Wasn't that the cave?
Oh. No, I don't think it was that cold, was it? Or was it?
Hugo puts a scarf on. Just in case.
Since we do have a moment, and Hugo mentioned that, does it look like there's any buttons or anything on this device that might be pressed to do something?
Yeah, how are the robots controlling it?
They don't look like they are. They're just standing nearby it. You don't see them actually interacting with it. It seems as though whatever it's doing is beyond their control, unless they're doing something that doesn't require touch, perhaps. But yeah, Renaud, you kind of investigate the device, see if you can learn anything. Yeah, give me a blind check.
You know, maybe they are waiting till we find the right place. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You cannot make heads or tails of this thing, Renaud. It is so odd, all these different moving pieces. You can see different pieces, but you have no idea what they do or if there's any way to kind of have any interaction with it.
I'm sorry, Grask. This is way beyond me.
Maybe we just wait. See if it changes again. Just
You
do
don't
what
want
they
to open
do.
one of these tombs? Yeah. Could be something good. Giant-sized treasure.
Or giant-sized undead, maybe.
As you're discussing this here, you hear the sound of you're hearing sound echo from the east, the sound of metal on the floor as though footsteps.
All right, here we go. Do we want to take a bet on what it is?
It's not good.
I mean, look at all these bones.
Stepping around the corner, you spot this odd-looking creature. As it steps up, it is vaguely humanoid in appearance, though you notice its sallow skin and very drained of any kind of color on its face. You see it looks towards you and speaks in a very peculiar language, which I'm nearly certain none of you speak. And you notice it sort of cocks its head as it looks at you, waiting for any kind of recognition.
Wait. What's the language?
Daracool?
You got
Hugo
lucky.
pretends to be a robot.
We didn't happen to see something like this in the Citadel. Like, it sort of reminds me of some of the things that we're traveling with, like the strength drainers and
It
stuff.
does remind Harmony, but not Mei, of something you encountered on the first floor of the Scarlet Citadel, yes.
Hey, May fought some shadow things. Maybe not this, though.
You notice, as you don't all seem to understand what it's asking, it switches speaking into a different language that you vaguely understand to be common, but the words that it uses are so strange in how it uses them, and words that you are not familiar with, but you can tell it's some kind of version of common. And the only words you can make out as it speaks is Cyrenix.
Cyrenix make any, does that ring a bell for anyone?
Yeah. Is there any sort of check we could do on that word?
No. What in the world is Cyrenix?
We do not know what that is, I'm afraid.
What year is it?
You notice
Travel time.
Cox's head once again, and you hear the sound of more echoing footsteps now coming from both directions.
The tombs next to us, can these be opened? Like, do they look like they lift open?
You don't see any obvious way to open them. They look almost like they're sealed.
What's the thing closest to Hugo?
As you spot it there to the north, you can see it is a strange looking but obviously undead creature.
We have no wish to get into a fight with you. We will be leaving here shortly.
Hugo pulls out the Book of Halen. No. Don't make me use this. Don't come any further.
And that seems to be exactly what they're doing. They are moving closer.
The robots are just hanging out, huh?
The robots are simply standing there. You
I'm
notice
going
the same one that first started talking to you once again tries to say something to you, but it is so strange. You hear a word that sounds almost like defy, but the way he says it maybe.
Renard's gonna look at everyone and say, I think we might have to fight.
Sorry, ma'am. Maybe she knows what sorry means.
And do they appear like they're going to attack? Or like, are they aggressively moving towards us?
At the moment, no. You're watching them, and they're just kind of walking and getting closer and closer to you.
Do they have weapons at their belts?
The one in the front does, yes. He has a long sword at his side.
And it's not drawn?
It is not.
Does anybody speak giant?
I don't speak any of these languages except for barely that one. You must stay back. We are simply traveling here. We will be gone soon. If you do not, we will be forced to fight.
You notice he cocks his head one more time, and he takes a step back, a step back, a step back, and then you hear him call something out in this language, and now you notice them all begin to move at a much more aggressive pace. Mei is once again the quickest to react.
May is gonna start throwing darts.
Sure, which one would you like to target? All right, you try to throw a dart between Renaud and the device towards the creature. Go ahead and make your attack. Unfortunately, no, that gets tangled up and misses.
Yeah, I'm going out of my way not to hurt the machine. But I'll take an extra attack.
Okay. That one will also miss as you're trying to very carefully throw in this narrow throwing lane.
And I'm gonna try to look small.
You succeed. No check needed. Let's see. This one is going to scamper up on top of this tomb area here. And once it does, looking down towards you, Grask, you notice as it is going to attempt to hit you with its claws, and I'll need a defensive roll. The creature manages to hit you, Grask, as its claws rake across your body. That's going to be 8 slashing damage, and I'm going to need a Constitution saving throw.
Okay, I had 3 temp. It didn't move when I adjusted it there. I hope it did for everyone else. Let me do the con save. You said con, right?
Yes. Yes, you are able to fight off this additional effect as we move to Renaud.
Renaud will. He's gonna do his Eldritch Blast thing. Let's blast through over to this guy. Grask will have that other one handled. I'm betting if I hit this one, they will not get pushed back because there are 2 people behind it, right?
That seems likely, yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're still gonna... He's the closest one, so...
Yes, that will certainly hit. Slamming into the creature and wounding it.
This one doesn't auto-die, unlike the weak ones from that one place.
No, not quite, but you can tell it certainly hurt it.
I'm gonna do it again.
That'll
19?
hit as well. Striking into the creature again, blasting on both sides of its body.
Then Shillelagh as a bonus action, and that'll be his turn.
All right, this one here is going to strike out at Hugo. Hugo, defensive roll, please.
Yeah, and I'm assuming this is protection from evil.
For sure, yes. You just managed to duck under those claws. Grask.
So if I give him the one true ring, he'll leave us alone, right?
The one true ring?
Looks kind of Gollum-esque.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe a little bit. I could kind of see it.
Oh, not so much when you bring him close. Make him small again, please. Okay, I'm going to recklessly attack the one in front of me with Great Weapon Master.
That'll connect. Taking a massive stroke into the creature and chopping part of its shoulder off.
That was a reckless, so you get that crit, right?
Oh, that is a reckless. Yeah, go ahead and roll your crit. So we'll take that damage as well. So that creature is just destroyed as your axe just chops right through it.
Can I move through the robot? Does it... I don't know how to...
You can count it essentially as a non-combatant, so it's not resisting you in any way. If it was engaged, it would be difficult terrain, but yeah, it's not preventing you from moving through.
Okay, I will move here and swing at the next creature. So this one, because I failed that first one, with Great Weapon Master, I can attack as a bonus action.
Correct. Yep, we figured that out last time, yep.
So here's the bonus action attack.
That will also hit. Slaying that one as well.
Fortunately, out of bonus actions, but I will take my second attack.
You step up and swing at this one. Because it is reckless, that will hit.
So I think I've been doing that wrong. Let me post this. Is it? Oh, I thought it was the first attack. Okay, no, it is all of them, isn't it?
Yeah, and then all attacks against you next round have advantage too.
I just have to decide on the first attack. Okay. Why can't you decide on a later attack? Wouldn't that just be worse for you? Why?
I guess yeah, they probably just worded it that way to try to make sure you didn't mistakenly give yourself less advantage. All right, your axe bites into this creature as well, popping right into the center of its chest where you smell this acrid air. It sort of smells almost like grave dirt.
Don't let them near the machine.
All right, this one here is going to step up as it lashes out at you, Grask. Okay, and as you see it coming and it slashes out with these claws, you manage to evade them. The robot doesn't do anything of significance. This one here is going to move forward quickly as it draws its blade. And Grask is going to attack you twice on the flank. First, it is going to slash out with a long sword towards you. And
That's reckless.
Reckless, right. So you will manage to just barely evade that as he then reaches out with his offhand, and you can see this sort of purplish light as he stretches his hand out towards you.
Save or roll?
This will be a defense roll, please. Okay, this one will manage to connect. It's going to be 7 points of necrotic damage and a con save.
That is spike growth.
Right, I know, but you don't even have the icon on you, do you?
Yeah, I don't know what's up. My health isn't moving for me either. Here's your con save.
You're still killing those cultist guys in the wherever time they're at.
Your maximum HP is also reduced by 7. This robot also does nothing. Hugo.
Seeing that, he looks over at Grass and he's like, "This might be a wild ride we're on, so here." And he will use his bloodline ability to cast protection from good and evil on Grask.
Appreciated.
And then as a bonus action, he will try to telekinetically shove the one that's close to the machine away.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and throw that. Unfortunately, no, he is not shoved.
Okay. And that is the end of his turn. Should I post protection from good and evil?
Yeah, if you have a way to burn it off your sheet, sure, and then we'll just throw an icon onto Grask.
Okay. That's the end of my turn.
Okay, Sebastian.
Alright, Sebastian's just gonna kind of wrap around this way. I don't know if he has to climb up on that, but he will, and he'll try to stab out at the floating girl.
He does need to climb, and he stabs downward at the creature.
It's flanking, and it doesn't say here, but does Sebastian have 2 attacks or just a single attack?
He just has a single attack.
Here it comes.
That will connect. Okay, the rapier bites into the creature's back, penetrating through its armor.
And then he knows that it may incur an attack of opportunity, but he's going to try to move back and then hop off.
And yes, that will indeed, as the creature flips around trying to grasp out at Sebastian. And does. 4 necrotic damage and a con save. Sebastian's max HP is also reduced by 4. Alright, anything else on Sebastian's turn? Okay, top of the next round, Mei.
Mei is gonna move over here. Hopefully getting a better shot through the immobile robot and throw some darts at that one.
I'm sorry, which one again?
The leader.
Okay. All right, so you aim through the robot, throwing it in that direction. That one will connect. As the dart punctures into the creature's shoulder. Second one hits as well. This one right in the hand.
And she's too scared to get any closer.
Okay, Renaud.
Eldritch Blast. Let's use one of our little resources, and I'm gonna hex. I'm gonna hex this fella.
Okay, and what stat would you like to hex?
Let's do strength. Maybe for that next telekinetic shove. I am going to first target the bad guy next to Grask with Eldritch Blast, so this won't have any hex damage on it.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, hex is for checks, not saves, I think, right?
Correct. So if she makes an athletics check, then that'll get
Gotcha.
it. Okay, so first one to the guy to the north.
That will hit.
And if he's still alive, I'm going to push him. Never mind. And then the second attack will go to Hexed Lady here.
Yes, that will hit as well. All right, as your Eldritch Blast smacks into the creature, you're going to notice that the creature is resistant to your necrotic damage.
Oh yeah, that's kind of... I guess I forgot they're undead people. Okay.
But you would like to push back 10 feet?
Yes.
Okay, you do just that.
Okay.
Grask.
Okay. He turns. He says,
Someone fix this fucking machine.
"Sorry, I forgot this is a no curse group."
I was just going to say, I don't think we've ever heard the lizard man swear before.
And I will
Yes.
recklessly attack the creature to the one that's right next to me. I don't want to step away from the machine.
All right, you slash towards that one and connect. Wounding the creature fairly significantly.
And the second.
It's not really no swears, we just don't want to be like flurry of F-bombs. Yeah, that'll hit as well. And that is enough to slay the creature outright.
He'll step back here and say,
Don't let it get close.
I could technically move forward and use that bonus action attack, but I don't want to take the attack of opportunity and lose more max health.
The robot does nothing. This creature does a real quick appraisal of the situation and starts making his way backwards.
That's right. Run.
Hugo.
Hugo will I'll just move here and ready a firebolt.
Okay.
If
ready, fire.
I see an enemy come around the corner, I'm gonna firebolt. And that's the end of my turn.
All right, Sebastian. Sebastian, which is Dylan.
Sorry, guys. I was waiting on the Elliot call.
I figured as much.
Yeah. He's good. He's just going to dodge and wait for someone else to solve the problem. Typical Sebastian behavior.
That's perfect. That's playing them like spot on. Okay, we're back to the top of the next round. Mei.
Are we safe? Should we look inside one of these gigantic tombs?
I think he retreated away. But who knows? It could be coming back with more of them.
I'll hold an action to throw a dart at an enemy that comes within 10 feet of my allies.
Okay. Renaud.
Boy, I just realized that that guy just ran off with my hex spell. I need to kill him, otherwise I can't use it. Can I get around this machine? I gotta run through everyone, don't I?
You would consider it difficult terrain if you move right through the machine space, because you have to like duck under its apparatuses.
Okay, I'll just kind of go around it. Oh man, I'm not gonna have enough distance. Darn it. Okay. I already did all the line movement, but we'll just assume that actually Renaud is just stepping to the north here. He will ready a Eldritch Blast for the next undead or monstrous creature that comes into view.
Okay, fair enough. All right, and if you guys notice in the chat, I rolled a 12. That was 12 more turns before the machine activated again. So luckily you didn't get too far away, Renaud, or you'd been stuck here in time as the machine snaps, popples, cracks, and I need another D8.
Your turn, Adam.
Oh, you want me to roll for you guys?
We haven't had any luck. Unless these are the good places.
See, look at that. So the way this mechanic worked is the first time you roll a number that's already been rolled, you get to the ultimate location. So since we've already had a 5, you find yourself moving once again through a strange bit of time here, finding yourself in a very elegant location. And we will get more into the details of this very elegant location when we come back from our 15-minute break, folks. See everybody in 15 minutes.
All right.
See ya.
We did it, guys.
We made it.
We made it.
Time to retire at the library.
Elliot is scared crapless right now.
You're a wizard, Hugo.
All right, see you guys in 15. Alrighty, folks, we are back on the other side from break as the group has found themselves in this very interesting location at this point. So, group, as the machine comes to a rest, you notice this. So once the queasiness of the time displacement subsides, you see you're back in the scriptorium. But this is the scriptorium in its grandest days, resplendent with elven furnishings. Fresh food and wine are laid out on a table. The shelves are filled with books, scrolls, and loose parchment sheets. There are books in Elvish with platinum bindings, parchments penned in gold ink in the script of the Celestials, even scrolls that appear to have been set down in Primordial by giants or titans. The clockwork servants immediately set to work plucking items off the shelves. They gather up as much as they can carry, which is barely enough to be noticed in this place.
Those are the mechanical constructs that we've been riding on this thing with that began to go and round stuff up.
That is the case, yes.
There's no other people here that we see.
Well, that's... Oh, geez, I swear, when this stuff doesn't work the way it's supposed to, so frustrating. Let me fix that real quick. As far as you look around for people... No, you don't see any people. So you recognize the basic vague structure of this location, but, sort of the rooms that you saw before you guys moved through time. But you notice, again, everything looks much nicer, much more pristine, much more perfect. And there is kind of this, I will say, strange kind of oddity where as you're looking at the edges of the walls, instead of seeing sort of a standard kind of a brick and mortar kind of wall or a stone wall, there's almost this impermeable barrier. It doesn't move or anything along those lines, but think of it as like being in a big bubble. And as you look, you can tell that anything beyond the bubble would be very difficult to discern. You can kind of vaguely maybe make some things out there, but it's so abstract of what you can see that it's hard to make out.
Maybe we should. Let me do my French. Well, maybe we should, go grab some handfuls of stuff too.
Just as
I,
long as you're back here when the robots are.
yeah. That,
Okay.
I'll head out as well, but making sure to keep an eye on the bots so that I get back before they do.
Sebastian's gonna go see if he can find anything on gambling.
the
Hugo
sports almanac.
mage hands the closest stuff that he can to him. If there's anything within mage hand level, otherwise he's not leaving the machine side.
Okay, excellent. So some of you guys looking around for stuff, being careful. Grask is moving about. Sebastian's moving about. Hugo is staying very close to the machine and using Mage Hand. Anything else in particular anyone's doing?
Renat's gonna go look around. Does this look like every subject, like a genuine library, or is it more specific things in there?
Well, as you start kind of poking around, so you're basically willing to step away from the machine a bit and start looking through these books?
I don't like the way you said that, but yes.
Okay. This seems to be an all-purpose kind of library. It doesn't seem like all the knowledge here is focused on only a narrow set of topics. There is literally so much material here that it is just difficult to fathom how much really is contained here. So mechanically, how this works is you can phrase a clear question, make a skill check to see if you can find what you're looking for, and if it's something that this library contains, you may be able to find a volume that will provide some information.
Nice.
So anybody, so this would be Grask, Sebastian. Sebastian, I heard, looking for something to do with gambling. I think that's fairly clear. So go ahead, and I don't know if the blind check will work for Sebastian or not. Let's get him on the screen and see if it'll work.
Yeah, let's try. I'll move him over. Here we go. Blind check for Sebastian.
Yeah, that actually did work. Excellent. Okay. Okay, so he will succeed on that skill check. And right, so the way this is phrased, phrase a question. So when you say looking for something to gamble, this is like, how do I maximize my chances of winning at gambling, basically?
Yeah, I think he would want to know, what game does he play the most back in Red Tower, Adam?
Typically card games.
So he'd probably ask, what are the easiest hands to win on?
Okay, he finds something somewhat related, which has to do with human physiology and common, we'll say, tells and how people react when they're trying to bluff some of their, hands and things. So he basically finds a book of being able to read people's emotions and how that connects to whether they may have a solid or not so solid hand.
He's gonna be pretty impressed, and after he gathers this information, he'll put the book back because he doesn't want anyone else to find out the same stuff he's learnt, and he'll come back with a very cocky kind of chassé to his walk.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, he's flipping through that, trying to absorb as much as he can. And then, let's see, Grask, you said you were going out. Was there books and things that you're looking through?
He was just going to gather stuff up. Do you need me to say a specific subject, or did you have one in mind? More importantly, he's trying to watch the robots to make sure he gets back in time, so maybe he just grabs something random.
Something random. Okay, sure. Roll me a D100. You grab onto a book about how to raise kids to be polite and effective adults.
Great book for Grass to find.
And Hugo, you're also poking around with a mage hand looking for stuff?
Yeah, but Hugo, he's sort of too far away to read titles, I think, probably, but he's looking for the ones that look expensive and worth money to take.
Okay, so yeah, a little bit more challenging doing from a distance, not being able to see much. So we'll call this more of like a random check as well. Do a D100.
Also, any spell scroll-esque stuff that looks like they might be around here, he wants. The way you said D100, sorry?
Yes, please. Okay, yeah, so as you're kind of trying to keep your eyes in multiple places at one time and just feeling around with that mage hand, plucking around different parts, you do procure this scroll that comes off of the bookcase, and you start pulling it closer to you, and it looks very fancy. You can see the parchment itself seems to be a very thick nature. The quality of it is very good. It's actually even tasseled up with some gold tassels at the edges. It has this whole just like hefty feel to it, this vellum.
Okay. And he's also like making sure the robots don't react to them taking stuff. As long as they're going about their business, he'll just sort of try to inspect the scroll a little bit.
They do not seem to react to you at all. They're still busy grabbing as much stuff as they can. Let's see, Renaud, is there anything you're doing during this time?
Something Elliot, Hugo, good lord, just said, made me think, does it seem like there might be a lot of magical scrolls around in here?
So, you can phrase a question, so feel free to decide how you would like to phrase that.
Can Renaud go and find some magical scrolls?
So think of it more as like in character, right? Like Renaud would like to find a scroll of, or Renaud would like to find a scroll that relates to.
How about, I guess there's several different things, but I think the thing that might benefit us most, at least Matt thinks so, and I think Renaud would also, he would like to find a scroll of Tiny Hut.
Okay, blind check, please. All right, you spend some time looking around for a scroll of Tiny Hut. I have this sort of vision in my head of like, oh, nope, that's not the right magic scroll, and throwing them over your head. I mean, not really, obviously, but you're just kind of scouring through these, all this different documents and things, but unfortunately, you do not find a scroll of Tiny Hut. And Mei, stuffing your pockets with food. Anything else Mei is doing?
Well, Mei's pockets are quite small, so if there's time left over, Mei would like to look for any books related to shorthand used by alchemists and or chemists and code breaking.
All right, go ahead and take inspiration. Very on point, and then give me a blind check.
Okay.
She finds a few different volumes that seem to be related to alchemy, but she can't find anything that connects alchemy and code breaking in any kind of meaningful way. So in her mind, as she's thinking, yeah, okay, this makes sense, you know, maybe something that would shed some light on those notes that you previously found, it does not sync up here in the library.
Bummer.
All right, so you guys are watching these mechanical creatures as they're moving about, grabbing these different volumes. There is, like I said, this strange sort of bubble that you're in. You guys are spending some time looking through the books. Is there anything else anybody is doing promptly?
Is there any rhyme or reason to the books that they're picking? Like, are they just
It does
picking
not
whatever they
seem
grab?
so. You get the impression almost of like a kid in a candy store that just like grabbing anything they can get their hands on. Okay, hearing nothing else particular that the group would like to do, as you guys are being very careful, and several of you have mentioned that you're watching these creatures very closely, you notice almost at the exact same time they both seem to have gotten their fill of books, volume, scrolls, and they turn and walk back towards the device, where luckily all of you are close enough by that when you hear the snap and pop and start moving through time once again, you are all there with no risk of getting lost. Okay, now, let's see. Next up will be a 1d3 roll. Who would like to roll it?
I'll do it.
Okay, and that was you made it all the way back to the normal time roll.
Phew.
Okay, so as you guys appear back here, let me put everybody back on screen. And just for fun, what-if kind of scenarios, there were 2 other scenarios that you guys didn't get to. Both of them were combat encounters, so kind of interesting randomly how that worked, where you guys went through. But yeah, pretty interesting.
Nice.
Elliot, you're going to notice as your companions suddenly reappear along with the machine.
Goodness. Is anybody hurt?
We just went on a wild journey, man.
A few scratches. I don't think anything really bad, though.
We fought some ghosts. I think we traveled through time or something.
Did you bring anything back?
He like shakes his scroll.
Are you hungry?
I mean, yeah, I could eat something, I suppose. Wait,
Maybe I'll pull some food out from her pockets.
how long has this been in your pocket?
Thousands of years or 5 minutes? I'm not sure.
I guess I'll try it.
You see
might-
Grask stuff a book in his pack and come and join the others.
You might want to move away from the machine. It's probably going to go off again.
I think it will probably go when the mechanical people are done whatever they're shuffling around.
Yeah, did it seem like when they came back to it the last time at the library, it like immediately went off? Or did they just sit there and wait for it?
I would say you've gotten the impression now, based on what you've seen here happen, that the whole process seems to be these robotic creatures go through the time device. They likely go to that library, gather as much as they can, come back here, start loading shelves up, and then how long it takes before they're done placing stuff on shelves before they go back is still an unknown. Now, surprisingly, and the good question that was asked earlier was, does it look like these shelves are like really stocked up then? And the answer is no. So based on how many books you've seen them grab and start filling the shelves once again, you would expect that they would be able to fill this up in maybe, 10 days, something like that. And because there's hardly anything here, something seems amiss.
Now that you kind of bring that up, Adam, a possible other connection that maybe Elliot was thinking about since they got back and said that they were going through time, and what Harmony experienced. Do I think that these are all connected in any way?
I think it depends on what you mean by connected, but give me a blind check and then a little more context on what you mean by connected.
Well, it seems that there's like in one section of the room there's a a time machine, so to speak, and then in another section of the floor there's like this stream of that yellow pinkish, or not yellow but pink purplish lightning that when Harmony went in it she de-aged, and then so I guess my question is, do I think that everything on this level is connected to time in some way, from that machine we found with the oozes to the purple lightning to this time machine here?
Okay, blind check, please. I would say yes, you obviously notice these similarities, and there are multiple different aspects of this scriptorium, this whole floor of the Scarlet Citadel that has dealt with time. Is it all connected? Very likely, but how or what that connection means, hard to say.
Well, maybe they just keep getting destroyed or something along the way, because there's a lot of hostile people in some of these times it took us to.
Are we sure nobody here knows detect magic? Because that could come in handy. That device, the machine you guys rode, I mean, what kind of magic is causing you guys to jump through time? That can't be normal. You know what I mean?
Not sure. It seems as though perhaps the robot people are the ones responsible for it.
And Grask, as you're looking there, you hear a pop once again as you notice two of the mechanical men step up, and whoosh, they are gone.
We
There
saw.
they go.
Yeah. So they're doing this for some reason, because we saw like a leader type in one of the places.
You don't think that little gnome guy could be responsible for it, eh? He kind of taunted us to go through that stream of pink lightning.
It might be connected, but I mean, I got the sense that the metal men were making decisions at the very least.
He
Yeah,
may be not protecting, but he may be studying it because the phenomenon is here.
Yeah, but if that's the case, then who built the mechanized humanoids? I mean, they didn't just get birthed.
I think it seemed like some of the places were very similar to the place here, and some look different. So I wonder if they were created in another time and then have they came around now. You know what I mean?
Do you think, if you said some of them were similar in appearance, do you guys think you traveled through time in the Scarlet Citadel? You saw it both past and future?
Some of the places were exactly where we are right now. Some were different, but perhaps could have been close.
Well, should I try to unlock this door then?
Yeah, I think let's see what's behind there, and then we will escape. Also, how long will we gone?
Yeah,
How long
Elliot,
did it
I would
seem like?
say probably about 20 to 30 minutes.
Not even an hour, maybe?
That's about how long we felt, I think, while we were traveling.
Yeah, that corner over there, May, where you're close to. Yeah, I pooped over there while I waited for you guys. So maybe don't step there.
Let's open this door and get out of here.
All right, Adam, I'll give you a thieves' tools check. I'm proficient, so I'll do the intelligence for my skill.
All right. So you begin testing your lock-picking skills on this door.
Oh, can I guidance, or is it too late?
Yeah, I would say it's too late at this point. We already have the number on screen. But
Well,
luckily,
I'll do. Okay. Well, I was gonna say I'll burn my inspiration, so I'll go ahead and burn my inspiration. But that's fine.
Well, you don't have to declare that until I tell you fail. But you didn't fail, so you succeeded. You managed to unlock this door.
Okay. All right. Who wants to open it? It's unlocked.
I was going to use my mage hand before to open it, so let me do that again. And I will conjure the mage hand, sending it over to the door.
All
And
right,
open
so
it.
as you cast Mage Hand and use that magical hand to attempt to open the door will open, so you can go ahead and open it. And you'll notice on the other side a familiar figure who is looking right in your direction in the act of casting a spell.
All right.
So-
Counterspell.
So what we're going to do is we're going to roll initiative. And what I'm going to do is, because you guys essentially were speaking outside of this room, you unlock the door, he obviously knows that you're there and he is prepared, I'm going to give him advantage on his initiative roll. So I'm going to roll twice and then give him the higher of the rolls. Okay, so that's the first roll, and I'm just going to throw a d20 now. And compare to see which is higher. Okay, so his initiative is appropriate, so he is seemingly there ready to go. As the door opens, maybe it's the mage hand catches him a little bit by surprise, or maybe it's the quickness that you pulled it open, hard to say. But yes, this is the order, so let me get us into some event music.
Oh, I've been here. It's always very sad when you have a caster who rolls very bad initiative.
It happens, right? What are you going to do? Grask, your turn.
I'll try and make it quick for you, Adam. Okay, I am going to run into the room to here. Nothing bad happens to me?
Not so far.
Okay, is this space standable? Because I'll move there if I can.
Yeah, that is.
Apologies, my roll 20 is acting up. I am going to use my... do I need to? It's not gonna hit me with bludgeoning, so maybe I'll just save it. I will recklessly attack this guy with my great axe. The Great Weapon Master.
You slash out, and you notice that your blade hits into this magical barrier. As you slash out a second time, he casts a spell.
Nope, go ahead. Carry on.
Okay, I was waiting to see if anybody said anything. He casts a spell, summon an arcane barrier, which blocks your attack.
Okay, and then I will hit him with the Hungry Jaws.
That will also miss.
That's the second one that misses? The 22 minus
17? Yeah.
Okay, that's me.
Okay, Mei.
All right, coming in for the short sword.
Your short sword hits into this arcane barrier. Not seeming to affect it at all.
Well, still get that extra attack, so we'll just try it again.
That will miss as well. So, okay, my bad, Grask. I missed that. I just doing the math in my head quick to assume that was a 17. So, yeah, if that's the case, then a 22 would have hit, so you can go ahead and roll bite damage.
Let me make sure here. Let me post this so we can read it.
It needs to be a heavy weapon.
Okay, yeah, so I couldn't have used it with the teeth.
Okay, so yeah, so we'll count that as a 22. That does bypass the arcane barrier, so that will hit with a bite. Okay, so you bite into the little guy's shoulder, taking a chunk out of him. Alright, apologies for that, Mei. So you stabbed twice. Both times your blade struck into this arcane barrier and did not penetrate his defenses.
Okay. Gonna do an unarmed strike for my bonus.
Okay. Hits into a solid barrier.
This is unsatisfying. Just gonna step over.
Okay, Renat.
I'm gonna cast Starburst on him. So let me roll this, and then I'll do the spell effect.
He is not affected.
Lord have mercy. Going to cast Shillelagh and just move ever so slightly closer. And that's my turn.
Okay, so Sebastian, you guys had previously asked to be a longbow. After that split experience in the time travel, he would have come back and equipped his bow, so he'll pop up to here, fire off a quick shot, not connect, and then step out of the way. And Elliot.
That's the Sebastian we all know and love.
All right, so Elliot is going to take out that, he's going to kind of move into this position, and as he's moving, he's going to draw that new dagger that he got while he drops those thieves' tools he had in his hand. I suppose he dropped them back there, but he will pull out that new dagger that he found off of that alchemist's body, and as he draws it, he's going to kind of use it to just gently kind of cut the end of his finger so it bleeds on the blade a little bit, and he's going to cast a spell on it.
So, okay, I just want to make sure I'm following your logic here. So you're drawing the blade that was in the snakeskin sheath, and you're taking that blade to your finger and cutting blood into it?
Yeah, it's kind of more for flavor of the spell, though.
But if that's what you're doing, then hang on one sec.
Oh, secret dagger.
Okay, so as you take that dagger and cut your finger, even if it's just a small amount, I will need you to give me a Constitution saving throw. Okay, so failing
That would have been a
this-
good time to have that inspiration.
well, you didn't use it on the previous skill check. Did you use it a different time?
Oh, well, I thought because I had heard you say it, that I had already, what I was going to say, I was going to burn it, and you said, luckily, I had already burned it.
Yeah,
But-
no, you didn't burn it there because I said you don't have to declare that until I tell you you failed, so you can use it now if you like.
All right, yeah, I'll just reburn it.
Okay, so you will succeed on that, so you're going to suffer damage.
I don't think I still have grass temporary hit points, do I?
So we'll cut that in half, so it's going to be 8 points of poison damage, and that's it. So the detect poison, obviously if you had pulled the blade out, you guys would have known right away, but as it was in the sheath, and just kind of at the side there, it wouldn't look through the sheath.
Gotcha. And temp HP, I'm pretty sure lasts until a long rest.
Unless it says otherwise, yes.
Okay, let me just give myself 3 back. Alright, no worries. Elliot casts Bloody Smite on his dagger, and he kind of smiles as he realizes that it's got extra properties to it. And he casts Bloody Smite on it, and he's going to take his 2 attacks at the little gnome guy. Here we go, first attack.
This one miss.
Second attack.
Also
Come on.
miss. Oh my god, is the mage going to survive a full round going very last? That's rare.
I think I'm concentrating on Bloody Smite.
Now Hugo's
it
got
says-
this.
Yeah, concentration for a minute. Okay, I'll put the icon on me, and that will be my turn.
Okay, Hugo.
Actually, Adam, let me move 1 more square. I'm sorry. Yeah, that would have been 30 there.
Okay. I am going to move in here. Man, you guys are real bumped up here.
It's a small room.
I'm gonna cast Burning Hands. Hello?
Yeah, yep, Burning Hands, sure. Yeah, that one's on the smart AoE, so feel free to just target your guy, go over. Yep, there you go. Is that where you would like to put it right there?
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid anything like papers and stuff like that, but
You think that right there is safe. You're not hitting into any obvious papers like on the desk next to you.
okay.
All right, so before you hit
Look.
trigger all, I'm assuming you're going to sculpt and so it doesn't hit.
Yes.
Okay, so we're just going to temporarily
Yeah.
move these guys out. And then you can trigger all.
Okay. I go, I must protect the papers as I fire blast my friends. Or I sculpted around them, I guess, but
Okay, so he will fail on that save, getting burnt, suffering some fire damage.
okay. And then I'm going to action surge and just do it again.
Is that a fumble for him? Because that would have technically been a spell save, right?
Yeah, that's a 1. So roll a fire crit, Hugo.
Oh, that's rare. We don't see that one often.
Okay.
Ah, dang it.
Oh, so it's less. Okay.
It didn't actually roll crit damage, so
Oh,
yeah,
you're
yep,
right.
so no worries. It's just as is.
Okay, and then I'm gonna action surge and I'm just gonna do it again.
Okay, burn your action surge and go ahead and do it again. Okay, once again as the flames explode out, wounding him, scorching him a second time.
And I am going to, let's see. I am going to move 1 back. That's the end of my turn.
Okay, so his turn, gets his reaction back. He's going to cast a spell.
Counterspell.
Okay, so burn your counterspell. And what level would you like to cast counterspell at?
That's at 3.
Okay, so he is then going to counterspell your counterspell. So he's going to burn a 3rd level slot for that. Is anybody else doing anything in reaction?
Trying.
So after he counterspells your counterspell, then his spell goes off unaffected, and you're going to see he vanishes.
Hugo yells
Yes.
out, use the drops!
Okay, and then we move to Grask's turn.
Where'd he go?
I will try and find him in this space.
You step into nothing. It's just open air.
When you prepare a reaction, can you do a movement and can I do a movement and an attack, or is it one or the other?
As a readied action, only one or the other.
Okay, I will go here. I guess I'll spread it a little. If I see him appear, I will move to him.
Okay, so what you're readying your action that if you see him, you want to dash.
Adam, could I have used my reaction to try and identify the spell he was casting?
Yes, I think that is actually part of the Xanathar's rules. I haven't seen that used much, but yeah, if you'd like to use your reaction to do so, I'm happy to have you a skill check while I pull those rules up real quick.
Sure. Yeah, might as well.
Okay, yeah, so it says as a reaction or an action, and the DC equals 15 plus the level of the spell. So your Arcana check, unfortunately, you do not know what this spell was, Hugo.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, good idea, though. That could be pretty huge if you did learn it.
Mei runs around in a circle and goes, "Where'd he go? Where'd he go?"
I love me.
And she'll hold an action to attack if he reappears. I assume you can't hold movement and action, right?
Correct. It's you ready one action. It's either an attack or a dash.
She'll just ready her dart, looking for him to reappear.
Okay.
If we were really smart, I would have picked up May and prepared an action to run at him, and then she would have been free to use her.
Yeah, that sounds pretty creative. Renard.
Just imagine a hedgehog being held by a lizard man, who then proceeds to use her sword.
I'm not saying May is heavy, but if she was, you could use the Great Weapon Master with her, swinging her.
Except that she's afraid Grass is gonna eat her.
I just spat hot chocolate all over myself.
With the way no one ran into him, I'm not thinking that was invisibility, but I don't know for sure. So I'm going to use the eye drops to see invisibility.
Okay, and remind me now, I think this is the campaign where I said you guys can have like quick things on your belt, correct?
Correct, and this is on my belt.
Perfect. Okay, so you're basically grabbing this vial from your side and throwing them in your eyes really quick. And in your hands, I assume you have at least a free hand to do that, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so that works. That's your action. You apply the eye drops of see invisibility, and you do not see him.
It is not invisible. It's something else.
Teleport, baby.
I think the Shillelagh. Bonus action Shillelagh. That's it.
Okay, Sebastian's turn. He's going to pop in. I think look into the room. Hasn't really heard much. He will get to here. And hearing not invisible, he'll get back to here for... Actually, he'll leave this open so it's easier to get in and out. Elliot.
All right, Elliot feels like this after hearing Grask or seeing that he's got his like haunches prepped to do a little run. Elliot's gonna come out here with Renaud and keep his eyes open. If he appears anywhere that he can see, Elliot's gonna try to use his action to dash to that creature. So held action to dash upon sight of the little gnome.
Okay, so you're ready in your action to dash if you see him.
Yep, I'll get up in his grizzle.
Okay. And Hugo.
He cast a lightning bolt on us before. Careful. And Hugo he's gonna move over this way. And just hold a firebolt to fire off if he sees him.
Okay, so before Grask's turn, you're going to notice, some of you are going to notice that he reappears here, if you have a readied action that would apply, feel free to take it.
I said if I see him.
I can't
did.
see him.
Yeah, and I would argue, Adam, that being around that bookcase is not up in his grizzle, so can I dash around this way?
Yeah, you just ready to dash. That's all that matters. You can see him. Your trigger is satisfied. You're good to go.
Cool. Actually, I'm gonna get on the other side of him because I still got space in my dash, and I'm gonna go here.
Okay, fair enough. So reactions are resolved. All right, you're going to notice that he casts a spell.
I ain't got no more spell slots, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, wait, no, my turn came up again. Yeah, sorry.
Whoop, sorry, Hugo, I could barely hear you there.
Sorry, I said I was about to say I didn't have my reaction, but my turn came back up, so I did have to use that.
Yeah, you're sounding really quiet. Is he real quiet to anybody else?
He sounds fine to me.
Let me turn
Maybe
you
a
up a
little.
little bit.
He's saying he can't hear you, Hugo, if you can't hear him either.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear Adam?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just boosted you to 150. That sounds a little better. Okay, I'm sorry. So you were saying you were basically just questioning whether you had your reaction back. Did I follow all that?
Yeah, and then I remembered I did because my turn came up again.
Okay, and so was there something you wanted to use with your reaction?
What was the firebolt when he came back?
So you ready to firebolt when you saw him?
Yeah, I
Got it.
held my action to shoot him with the firebolt.
Okay, so he would appear first. You would cast Firebolt on him. He would cast a reaction spell to block that. So you're going to notice a shield pop up, and he blocks your strike.
He already counterspelled using his reaction, right? Oh, no, that's last turn.
That was last turn, right? So I'm trying to make sure we're doing this in order. Technically, he knows Renaud's not going to counterspell, but he wouldn't have known that. But because that could literally kill him, I think it makes sense that he would burn his slot for this. Okay, so the arcane barrier pops up, so that's your reaction, so all reactions are done now. And then you're going to see he will cast a spell, and he's going to, once again, vanish. And then when we are to Grask's turn.
Where is he?
He disappeared. But he's not here.
He appeared out
I'm
here.
gonna pick up. I'm gonna pick up me.
Okay, action grapple, Mei. Mei, do you resist?
I'll get you to him.
No,
but
I don't.
need you to kill him.
Okay, so now you're moving at half speed, Grass, but you got her.
And I'll move to here and dash if I can see him.
So your action was to grapple Mei.
Can I still prepare an action if I did that?
No, ready in an action is an action.
Oh, what a silly game. I think I clicked the door by mistake. Sorry about that.
What a silly game. Slams door. Gosh, Grask.
Okay, then we'll go here and bet that this is where he's going to show up while holding me. Now he just looks silly.
Okay, so that was not a grapple then, right? You just moved to there?
No, I'm not backing out of this. It's going to be real good next turn.
So I'm here, right?
Yeah.
So you can be in any space within 5 feet of Grask.
And nobody has eyes on him.
He's trying to run. He disappeared from the center.
Must be some kind of little jump or something.
I'm gonna hold my action to attack if I see him. I guess I'll do dart again.
Okay, so move yourself into any square that's not right on top of Grask, within 5 feet of Grask. Okay, and then you're going to ready your action there. Okay, so I'm just going to fix Grask there. Okay, so move to Renaud.
Renaud is going to say, spread out. We must have him in, we must be ready in all positions. And he's going to come down here with his movement and he's going to ready an Eldritch Blast for when he sees him pop up again.
Okay. All right, Sebastian will come out, and hearing the spread out, he'll go over here and ready an action to shoot. Elliot.
All right. Sorry, I took a big bite of pizza. I think Elliot. He's gonna ready an action to throw his dagger if he sees the creature in his range.
Okay.
You can do that, right? You can throw daggers, right?
You can, yes. Okay, Hugo.
Don't
right.
forget about the office, too.
Yeah, I guess seeing that they have that covered down there, Hugo's gonna go this way. He'll stop there and already a firebolt.
Okay, ready firebolt.
And I'm gonna telekinetically shove Grask one further.
Grass, you accept the push?
No, I'm gonna try and resist it.
Okay, strength saving throw.
Uh-oh.
And this would be, so you just roll an active push telekinetic and we'll compare the two numbers. Okay, so strength save wins and you are not pushed. Okay, so before the top of the round Grass turn, he's going to reappear here. If anybody has a ready action that applies, go ahead and take it.
I don't see him, so I'm guessing he's not anywhere where I can see.
Yeah, he's not down here either, so he must be up top. Right. Going
Okay,
on.
so the firebolt connects. He does cast a spell to try to block that, but it connects anyway. So go ahead and post firebolt damage. He will be wounded by that. The dart will strike his arcane barrier. And okay, all right. So then on his turn, he's going to move to here. And he is then going to cast... Okay, he is going to cast a spell. And let me just get an AoE here. Spellcasters are always so much fun. They got a million things they can do.
I don't know. I'm enjoying Monk.
Oh yeah, monks are a lot of fun too. Okay, so I've got a spell effect area.
How big could it be? Oh.
Okay, so he's going to cast a spell there, and when he casts this spell, reducing his spell slots to make sure this is all on the up and up. All right, so the three of you in that area of effect, I will need wisdom saving throws for.
Public?
Yes, you can make it public.
Is this before my dart is thrown?
No. Okay, so Grask, you will fail this save. The other two will succeed. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you what that does quite yet, but then he's going to continue moving. Okay, now that's the end of his turn. We move to Grask's turn, but Grask, because you failed this save, you can't take reactions, and I'll need you to roll a d10 at the start of your turn. Okay, an 8. Your initiative is reduced by 5.
Does that mean I'm gonna go again this round? What does that mean?
It means you don't go now. It's now Mei Yi's turn.
Okay.
Okay, so Mei Yi, you start here. You notice this strange, like, swirling vortex effect on the ground, and you notice, like, Grask is sort of, like, sluggish, and you realize you're acting before him. It doesn't seem as though this has affected you so far. What would you like to do?
Do I have the ability to push or pull him?
You can grapple him and try to move him. If you push him, that would be like an attack, and you could push him 5 feet, assuming he doesn't resist you.
I'll hurt him if I grapple him. I'm gonna hop out of the circle. And, did my dart connect?
It hit into an arcane barrier that he summoned.
Oh, okay. I guess I shouldn't have moved this direction. 5, 10. Does that look like 40 total? I think I'll dash in addition.
Okay, yeah, you can do that.
Sweet. Well, I assume is it too late to make my dash a bonus?
It is, unfortunately, because you gain the advantage of seeing what you see now.
That makes sense. Well, don't think there's much more I can do. So,
Okay, Renaud.
Renaud is going to cast Bless on himself, Grask, and Elliot or Hugo.
Go Hugo. He's got better range than I do.
All right, Hugo, you get blessed too. Now, hearing all this commotion, Renaud is going to go here, here, here. That's 20. Here. You can just barely see it. 20. That's 25.
So go ahead and burn that bless slot. So that was your
Yep.
action.
I need to take Hex off. And movement. Yeah. That's my turn. Yeah.
Okay, Grask, you feel like you're able to move again.
Freely?
You're acting on this initiative. No other side effects at the moment.
Okay. It's not controlling my movement like directly.
Oh no, if it was doing
Flips.
that, trust me, I would tell you.
Cool. I guess I will start moving towards the place, and I will. Can I dash?
Sure.
Okay. I will dash. Avoid trying to stay away from the cliff. I did. Oh goodness. I should just do it in one go. This was 30 feet,
Yes.
so I've got 10 more before I need to actually dash. Okay, I will dash. Can I use a bonus action?
Yes.
What did this do?
So the number you rolled was probably the least worst option. It just reduced your initiative by 5.
Oh, okay. I'm waiting to walk into the rest of the trap. I'm going to do Hungry Jaws on him.
Okay.
I can Reckless this. It's my first attack. Heck yeah.
And you have Bless.
Okay, here comes a Reckless Bless. Hungry Jaws. Ignore
That
the
is
minus
going to
5.
hit. That will be a crit. And no. Okay, so you drop him to the ground.
Okay, wait. Ignore the 10. That shouldn't be there.
Right, so 7. That would be a potential crit, though, right? Because you reckless. So roll a.
Oh, right.
What is your jaws? What type of damage is that? Piercing, I'm guessing.
Pearson sounds right.
The bite is slashing.
Oh, okay. So roll a slashing crit for Hungry Jaws. Okay, so we'll take both of those damage for a total of 8. He is dropped to the ground. Similarly with the woman, you can tell he is not dead. He's on the ground, potentially making death saves.
He's down. Get in here.
And because he is down, that is also down.
Was that the effect that was on me?
No, that was the AoE that he placed on the ground, Elliot. And actually, you know what? Just to speed this up a little bit, I'll tell you, he does not have any special ability that's going to allow him to pop back up from being down. So let us go ahead and end combat here. You guys are free to move.
Mei starts tying him up with rope anyway because she's like gun shy after the chemist.
And I've got a healer charge on my belt. A healer's kit charge. So healer's kit just stabilizes them so they're no longer bleeding out, right?
Yes.
Making death saves. So then, yeah, I'll use that so he's at least just unconscious.
Okay, so you choose to stabilize him? Sure.
Grask knows that casters are dangerous. Has this one been waving his hands or using some kind of focus when he's been doing his spells?
Yes. You notice he is wearing this very interesting looking ring. And it seemed as though when he was waving his hands, that was prominently displayed.
Okay, I'm going to take that.
Okay, you pull this ring off, and right, you notice that as you pull this ring off, it is a gold ring, and there is this small symbol that you may recognize, Grask, as like a ship's anchor.
This would have been so useful when we met Golem earlier.
You think so?
No, I just wanted to call back that joke that didn't land earlier.
So maybe on the second try, the one ring will work.
I was gonna say it didn't land on the second try either.
You can't hit a home run if you don't swing.
It's the rule of threes, though. One more.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Mei was tying him up, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
trying.
Yep, yeah, so you've got rope in your pack, you've tied him up.
And Renaud's gonna pull out a piece of fabric and stuff it in his mouth.
Okay.
And then Elliot's gonna run his pockets.
Okay, he has a dagger on him, and in a satchel at his side, he has a spell book, which looks very distinctive.
I'm gonna pull the dagger over and start attaching it to the other side of my belt. So I got a dagger on each side, and I'm gonna just toss the spell book into Hugo's hands.
Oh ho ho! What have we here?
Yeah. Looks like he's got one of those books that you use. You should do it like I do it and just memorize them.
You know, I do that for some things.
What should we do with this guy?
Well, Ushlox certainly didn't like him. If you want to get in good with him, we turn him over to him.
It would be very dangerous to question if we wish to do that.
I've taken all his things.
I think some people are able to cast spells merely by speaking. So
Well, let's take his tongue. Is that a little dark?
that's maybe a little much. I was thinking we just keep the gag on him, and if something presents itself, or perhaps, as Hugo suggested, Usulux may have a use for him.
Well, whatever it was, we should go check that room he was in, see if he left anything back there.
I concur. Let's, Grask, why don't you bring him along, and we'll go over to that room. And watch the step over here.
Yeah.
If we hand him over the Uslux, we're not going to get any information out of him.
We will have
What
to...
information do we need?
Well,
How to work the machine? Or
Or
the lightning?
a code, maybe? Maybe he knows how to break that code, or what it means, and maybe he could tell us further about the trolls below us. Maybe he's working for someone else.
It's possible, but he is one of the slippery ones, you know what I mean? So, it has to be worth the risk of him getting away and coming back for revenge.
We don't have to question him here.
Yeah, we could always take him out into the
He's
woods.
He's got short legs. He won't outrun us.
But he might disappear. Who knows?
When he was disappearing, is that when he was using the ring and moving his hands?
He certainly seemed to be casting a spell, yes.
He needed his hands for that one.
When I step from place to place, I only need to speak words. So if I don't think that was what he was doing, but we must keep the gag on him. That's as simple as it is.
Yeah, but we won't be able to have him answer questions with a gag. Here's my thing. We just don't let him sleep. I mean, he's used a lot of spells in that battle there. We just take turns keeping him awake. He won't regain any of his spells back.
So I'm gonna retract my previous statement and say, Grask, roll me a blind check, please. Okay, so
Did that go through?
you don't know, because you saw him motioning with his hands doing different things. So when you're I think I understand what you're asking now, is when he cast a spell to vanish, was he using somatic components? That's essentially what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay, and I would say somatic components are fairly obvious when they're being done, so I would say you notice he did not do that.
Gotcha.
I know we grabbed that ring, but was there any obvious kind of arcane focus on him? Or do we
Those of
believe that
you-
ring was it?
Those of you that are familiar with arcane foci, you would say that this ring is an arcane focus, and you're assuming you don't see any other one on him, so you presume that is his arcane focus.
So we'll nod. And Hugo, I guess let me ask you too. When it comes to casting your spells, do you have to have that focus to cast them, even if they are just verbal?
If it is a
Nah.
if it is a word, no. You can just say the word and it will work.
So let's take his damn tongue.
But
He
then
can
he won't
write
be
still.
able to answer. Oh yeah, that's true, I guess. I mean, that seems a little extreme. I guess we were gonna kill him though, and that could be worse.
We'll question him outside in the woods. Even if he has spells, he won't get far. If we're really worried, I could break a leg or two.
If you guys knew what they did, like really did in prison when they were trying to get information out of folks, it's not pretty.
Well, we are not those people.
I was.
True. Yeah,
I don't have a
used to be
problem.
on the other end of it.
Yeah, I know,
I don't
Hugo.
like doing it.
I don't mind cutting a tongue. That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna go search his room.
And Grask will pick him up.
Okay, and once you tell me where you're putting him down, I will move him, but the assumption right now is he is on your shoulder, Grask.
Okay. And I'm just going to walk and rejoin the group, watching for the cliff.
Renaud, do you want to give me your magical ability that helps me find stuff better?
So as
yes.
you enter this room, I'll give you a quick description. This living chamber is quite cozy and comfortable, although it's obviously meant for someone of short stature. The carpentry is top-notch. A desk near the door holds several books, papers, quills, and ink pots. A chest against the west wall has a latch, but no lock. Did she step onto the space right next to the
No.
hole? I wasn't watching. Grask, tell the truth, did she?
Oh my god.
No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't even do that to you again because you already fell once. It can't be the same player twice.
Libby,
What? It was
Libby
an
like
accident.
disconnected. She's like, no, I can't do it.
Can you imagine if that's the same way a character died twice? Like, that would be insane.
Brask, I'm never trusting you again.
Renaud is going to cast guidance on Elliot while he tears this room apart.
I'll kind of just go piece by piece, Adam. I'll start with the desk, and I'll kind of, go underneath it, looking for anything obvious hidden on the bottom side, in the drawers, false bottoms. And is this a fireplace?
That is just some shelving.
Okay. Then I'll move to the chest. Same thing. Check for false bottoms. Before I open the chest, though, I will want to check that one for traps, and then I'll examine the bed too. So I don't know if you want multiple checks or what.
So the first thing you're doing is a general check of the entire room. Is that what I heard?
Yeah. Let's say the first thing I'll do is I'll walk over to the chest and make sure it doesn't have any tripwire traps or anything like that.
Okay, so blind check.
And I
That
will
would be
use
your guidance.
Yeah.
You don't detect any tripwires or traps in this area.
Okay, cool. And then I will spend some time kind of rummaging through everything.
And that means rummaging through the room?
Yeah, I'll investigate. Like I'll obviously open the chest, and then I'll go through the desk and
So the
shelves, etc.
chest does not open. Let's see. So everything inside the chest you don't see at the moment. Yeah, the chest doesn't open. You do notice that there are books and stuff on the table. There are some papers, that sort of thing. Are you also looking through those?
I'll point those out to somebody more inclined to that kind of stuff, because it's probably Arcana related, spells and stuff, considering he was a spellcaster. And I'm assuming you said that the chest wasn't opening because it was locked, right?
It has a latch, but no lock. So as you grab the latch and try to lift it, it just doesn't lift.
Is there any keyhole or anything? Can I see any
Nope.
way to try to open it?
There's no keyhole. And from the naked eye, as you look at it, you would assume this is just a standard chest. You would just grab the latch, lift it, and it would open. But when you try to lift this latch, it doesn't lift.
Can I see the seam of like top and bottom of the chest?
Like a hairline seam, sure.
Okay. I'll call out and see if anybody's got a crowbar.
You are quite confident that a crowbar will not fit into the seam.
We, when we checked his pockets, we found his spell book, we found his ring, focus. Was there anything else that we found?
A dagger.
A dagger. All right.
Is there an impression on maybe where that latch is of the ring face?
No.
Try it while holding the ring. Might be tuned to it.
And I'll hand it over.
So I'll slide the ring on my finger and then try to unlatch the chest at him.
And it opens easily.
Oh wow, Grask. Very smart.
Inside,
Watson.
you see quite a bit of gold pieces of assorted types. You notice that there is a pair of gloves that look to be embroidered with some gold threads, but they're sized for a gnome, so kind of small. You notice that there is a matching silver pitcher and goblet bearing a family crest, likely, but unlikely any of you guys can recognize it at a glance. Let's see, a framed Oh, that is the crest. I'm sorry. So the crest is a framed silhouette of an unidentified gnome with the words "Good Riddance" scribbled across it. You also find some clothing or cloth material in here, like a handful of cloth, I guess would be the best way to describe it. You find a rolled up piece of paper in the form of a scroll. You notice a purple amethyst brooch. There is 2 separate potions.
Yeah, I'll just start collecting everything.
Okay, I will write the stuff in chat here momentarily.
Should take the chest as well.
It would be a good luck if the person needs the ring to open it.
Adam, do I know if the ring had an anchor on it? Are any of the bloodlines associated with like water or an anchor?
Yes, you would know that the old god Masela is associated with the seas.
Okay, now I need to remember the rules for killing someone with the bloodline and gaining their blood power.
You would, I mean, this is not something I would say that is super commonly known, but if you have a bloodline, you would have a vague understanding of this probably from hearing from other people. Essentially, it is the killing blow must be stabbing them through the heart.
But we don't know that?
No, I'm saying you do. I would just say that for your knowledge, like background knowledge, keep in mind that this is not something that's like common knowledge around the world. So if any of you have a bloodline, I would say you know this. If you don't have a bloodline, this is not something you would know about.
Okay, and do I need to be the same bloodline to get that thing?
No.
Consume their power? Is that what you're saying?
His blood might be special. Could be worth the claim.
What do you mean by blood might be special?
The ring had an anchor on it, right?
Yeah.
If we stab him through the heart, it might do something for us.
Where is he?
Get rid of one of our problems.
holding
that's
him.
for sure.
But let me get this straight. You guys are not okay with cutting his tongue off, but are okay with consuming his blood powers? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't think we are.
We
This
we
is
didn't think about it till now.
This is different from self-defense. As we were doing earlier, this would be simple murder.
What? Murder is out of cold blood. He tried to kill us too, you know. But I see what you're saying. This would
Also,
just be
I love
frowned
the fact
upon
that
killing.
May just like went to the bed and is now laying on the bed.
Well, I want it. You can still ask him questions if you want, but I want his heart.
There's a lot of coinage here. It's like 800 gold.
I really like this rug.
Please have
I-
May roll it up and like try and drag it away when we leave.
Are you guys stabbing this guy or what?
Let's
I-
take him out.
I will not stop you if that is what you wish to do, but I want it to be known that I am disagreeing greatly with that course of action.
Okay.
Maybe before we stab him in the heart, we should ask him some questions.
Sure. Let's get out of here then.
Hang on, let me finish packing everything up. Oh, Hugo, there's a scroll here.
Oh. Take a look.
Yeah, and some really nice gloves, but I don't think any of you guys can fit them.
Maybe me or you, perhaps. No, you say you're not a gnome, but your hands aren't that far off.
Choose your next words closely. I am a halfling, still 2 inches taller than the tallest gnome I know.
Let's trying to change the subject. Renan says, also let us go back to the alchemy place and gather what we can of those materials.
Hey, let's put them in one of the barrels. Just roll them back.
Might kill him. I need him alive.
Also, we need to be able to see him in case he disappears.
Alright.
We should definitely hog tie his legs.
So what are we gonna do with this gold? There's 828 pieces here.
I think
Apparently, give it to your debt holder.
Yeah. And then the
I
rest
can
is
carry it.
So just
After
before,
having all my stuff stolen, I've got room.
before we walk out of here, how heavy is it to carry like the whole chest? Because I think we wanted to sell the chest and the ring as a combo.
The chest itself is probably a good 30 pounds, I would say.
Coins are 21 pounds, and then the gloves or the pitcher and goblet are 3, so...
Does the chest have handles on it? Could it be lifted by 2 people?
I mean, it's 30 pounds, so as long as you're willing to hold something bulky, I would say you would need 2 hands to hold it, or yeah, you could split the... I mean, it doesn't really have handles. I think I get what you're saying, like one on each side.
So
with a
I
single
was
hand.
figuring that we would keep the stuff in the chest instead of taking it all out and then also carrying the chest.
So what I would say is with the potions inside, if you're keeping that stuff in there and then you're like lifting it and putting it on a shoulder or putting it in your arms, if you were to jumble it, you're not sure that the like potions would survive in there.
Okay, removing the fragile things.
Okay, then all together the chest would be, so with the gold and the chest, like 55 pounds roughly, let's say. And again, as long as you're willing to have your hands occupied, you could do that. Yeah, it would probably be really challenging to split the weight between 2 people because it's not like designed to be carried that way.
Okay, can someone carry that chest?
Yeah, I'll carry it.
Let me take the stuff off my... I guess I'll still carry the potions, but I'll take the other stuff off my sheet here.
And I'll still carry the gnome.
All right. Shall we head back to the room with the alchemy equipment and grab those and then get out?
Yep, I think that's a good plan.
I guess be careful as we go by where that time device was.
All right, so guys, as we are at the end of our session time, I'm going to leave us in a good spot. So it sounds like you guys want to make your way back to the alchemy room, collect everything there you can with the large apparatus, just collect everything that seems to be of value, then make your way back to the village of Red Tower.
Yeah.
No. We wanted to interrogate the gnome in the forest before, and no, we're not taking him back to town and killing him there.
Okay, so we will... Okay, so we're going to have a little bit of a split session next time then. So we'll resolve the forest, the hit in the forest. And then when we're done with that, once you guys get back to the village of Red Tower, you did all level up to 6. So you can level up to 6, but you won't have the 6 abilities until you resolve the forest hit. And then once you get back to Red Tower, have your long rest, you will.
At least you have the episode title for the next episode, Adam.
The forest hit. I like it, right?
The forest hit.
All right, good deal, guys. Hope everybody had a good time. This was a weird one with the time jumping. Like I say, there were 8 different scenarios, and each one of those had its own map. Some of them weren't combat, so it was just descriptive, and you had a nice view of what was happening. But then there were 2, like I said, that were combat that you guys missed. You didn't really miss much there, but it shows you the level of difficulty to ultimately get to where you were and then back. So I would say you guys rolled really well and did really good in this battle with the mage using really good tactics. So great job, good teamwork and all that. It was great seeing that. And yeah, we'll see what happens next time as you guys resolve these events, get to level 6, and see what fun that brings.
We almost got our brains eaten in that first touch.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Good game.
That was a cool session for sure.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night,
Thanks,
everyone.
Adam. Good night.
Have a good night,
Hey,
everybody.
guys.